Greetings and salutations. It's Sunday, May the 16th, 2021, 8:01 p.m. Eastern, 5:01 p.m. Pacific, 1:01 a.m. in the UK, 2:01 a.m. at Henning Polly's place. Sure, let's go with that. Sunday Night Hang, I'm Ben. Welcome. If you're new, please subscribe. New or returning, I expect a thumbs up. Why? It's positive and it helps me with algorithms and silicon chips, space-age polymers, and I believe eclectic designs. That's right. I grew up in the 80s. Eclectic designs. Welcome, my guest tonight, the one, the only, Scott Brockway. He knows how to take a pedal apart, but more importantly, he knows how to put them back together. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Not too shabby. The sun decided to come out finally yesterday.
I know it's out here too.
And but it's not, the sun's out, so it's extra cold outside, which we're used to. The sun was out, and then there was heat, and I was able to wear shorts today. So those are those things that pants that don't go below the knee. Uh-huh. Holy crap! It was awesome. 74 degrees and sunny. Oh.
What is this glowing warm thing in the sky?
Fleeting. Yeah. So that's been awesome. Wow, we already got 24 people, 24 people in here. Perfect.
I better greet everybody.
Yeah, we've got Randy Crooks, Absolute Mayhem, JP Page 2, Terry's 539 G's, Dan of New Jersey, Mike Jones, Down and Back with Corn Doug. I call him Cousin Doug, but he prefers to go by Down and Back with Corn Doug. My knees hurt. What time is it in France? That would be 2:02 a.m. Hello, Janice. Good to see Janice in here. Phil Sakura. I want to say Segura, but it's Sakura because it's a Q and not a G. Michael B. in the house. You'll be seeing him next week, folks. Just saying. BC Rich 581. Awesome to see you. I'm sure he's going to burn me at some point tonight. He has been in the chats all weekend. Martin Lemaire. Tinkerbell. Hit Metalworks. Zach Thong. Chris Thomas. Troy Elkhorn. Chris Thomas. Rob B. No relation to Michael B. Well, they might be, but might be? No. L&M Guitar Corner is going to catch us on replay because it's a late night in Austria. It's 2:03 a.m. in Austria, for those asking. And welcome, StreamYard. Perfect. Jeff K., Mark Randall, Milk Tea, Terry Himes, Mahogany, Michael Easter. We're coast to coast. We've got Robbie in Surrey, BC. Michael Easter's in Charlottetown. Actually, yeah, BC's that way. There. Terry's kind of north. If we got somebody from the way up north, then we got her all covered. Mr. Meadowfield. Awesome.
Where's uneffing believable?
Where is he?
He's supposed to be here.
He might show up. Oh, there's Symmetry and Brian Landreth. Good to see Brian Landreth. He's representing Arkansas and all points surrounding because he drives one of those tractor and or trailers. I think he drives the tractor. He doesn't drive the trailer too often. When he does that, that's not good. That's not good. So.
Well, I mean, sometimes you got to back up.
Well, that's true.
My grandfather drove a truck.
I drove a few. Let me think. Yeah, I drove an auto hauler once. That wasn't good. And then an 18-wheeler with a box on the back. And I remember going down a hill to a stop sign. That's when the instructor, because I think we'll get my license, said, "Oh, by the way, the Jake brake doesn't work." Great. We got her stopped, and then he decided to stop for lunch, and he said, "There's a whole big paved shoulder by this bar known as," what was the name of that place? It was in Conscon, Milt. Cascades? Was that the place in Conscon? They had basically a breakdown lane next to it. And all I remember, Scott, was I pulled in. I may have been going a little too fast prior to pulling in. Just picture a full tractor trailer just slide into a parking spot perfectly with the trailer brakes fully locked, bouncing a little, truck brakes on and off, locking up, perfect stop, perfect placement, and there's two old boys sitting on the porch across the street, and they're just like, went inside and ordered a grilled cheese.
There you go.
Yep. Hot brakes fail. Yep.
Yeah, hot brakes fail.
Marsman and LPD Pedals. Awesome.
Hey, LPD. How you doing, man?
Cool Tunes Made Easy. Jack Clark's tuning in from Florida. See, we're enlarging. Frank Corcoran's here. Nice. Michael Easter is asking where you're out of.
Me. Well, I'm originally from Seattle. I was born and raised there. And about 6 years ago now, I moved to Boise, Nampa area in Idaho.
Downtown.
Yeah, well, I'm in Nampa, so I'm outside of Boise. Boise is in an inversion, and the air quality there is worse than LA.
Oh,
so yeah, it's really bad. So we moved here because I kind of have a little bit of asthma, and it's better here, so I don't die all day long.
Phil Segura says, very Smokey and the Bandit of you. Well, Scott and I were talking about movies off air, and that's another one that I think was more of a documentary. I think that was a documentary, and great thing to look for.
Got a long way to go and a short time to get there.
Exactly. Let's see. Who else did I see pop in here? I saw. Let's just up here because I don't want to leave. Christian Hunter. Aha. That was because I'm thinking I shouted out literally everybody else, I think, in the chat. So, and Fruitcake Tony's here. Jerry Reed, yeah, hell of a picker. Pretty good singer. And I think a pretty funny-ass actor, too. An entertainer. One of the best entertainers, period.
He was an amazing entertainer. I'm not really into the country thing, but I like Jerry Reed. I like Waylon Jennings, too. I really enjoyed.
Oh, Waylon, yeah. It was fun. I came across a clip of Jerry Reed not too long ago, and you'll see there was always a lot of television appearances with him and Chet Atkins, longtime friend, student, what have you.
Well, Chet was just
I Rock the Blues, and Christopher Vanek, and Eddie Van Haskell. Nice. So I think it was like early mid 80s. So, Chet was definitely up there, and Jerry was very well established. So they're at the point where you could tell it's like they didn't give a rat's ass what they put in front of the cameras. So Jerry comes out and Chet's like, so what do you want to play? He goes, well, I don't know. What do you want me to play? He goes, why don't you play that Bob Dylan song you've been playing to death for the last 2 years that everyone's sick of? He's like, well, might as well. I just about learned it right by now. And then, of course, goes into a great rendition and Don't Worry, It's All Right.
Yeah, I think I saw him on Hee Haw, too. I used to watch that.
Yep. Milty says, drop a gear, save the brakes. Yeah, I was learning. It was my first time ever driving. I should not have been on the roads.
Guitar Man
45. Nice. Billy Baloney.
Hey, we should probably do something, eh?
We should. What should we
should, eh?
Chris Thomas was asking what that black guitar is behind you.
That is my Washburn A20V that's highly customized. I will go grab it if you would like me to.
You could.
I could. Okay, I have my Kramer sitting here too. So
nice. Welcome,
let
Jeff.
me grab
Blue.
it. Hopefully my headphones don't fall on the floor.
Great to see Janice in here. 56, you fine folks.
I'll bring the stand over there so it's a little easier.
If it's a Kaler or a Wonder Bar, Lawrence, either way, there's hassles and setups and stuff.
You may recognize it as an instrument that Carlos Cavazo played in Quiet Riot. So I can get a good shot.
Who knows? You may even rock it from time to time playing with Rat these days.
Indeed. I thought Warren was back in Rat. Or did he leave?
Didn't they keep Carlos and keep Warren too, or something?
Yeah, because
or was
the
Carlos
other guitar player passed away? The original Robin Crosby.
Yeah, Robin passed.
Yeah, Robin died. So
well, Carlos can play Robin's parts.
Yeah, because Quiet Riot is no more. I mean, everybody's gone except for him and Rudy, pretty much.
And Rudy's busy playing in 5 bands at once.
Yeah, I just saw a thing where he's now he's going to do Heaven and Hell with Michelangelo Bascio and who else? I forgot, some singer and Vinny Appice.
Right.
So
Michael Easter says guitar reminds me of early Def Leppard. Yeah, it does have a bit of a Hamer vibe.
yeah, he played that Destroyer too. I want one of those. I've been looking for one of those for years. I've never been able to find one. They're cool. I put a Floyd on it. I still need to put the Floyd nut on it. I don't have the routing jig for my Dremel yet, but I'll put that on. I need to refret it too. The frets are just gone.
Jack Clark says Rad only has Jordan Ziff right now. No,
Really?
Warren said he would come back, and they were talking about recording one last album.
Huh.
Not necessarily touring to support it, but to record it. But if you're going to record it, they're going to they'll play some gigs, but maybe Warren won't be part of the live experience.
Yeah, Carlos played the non-trem version, so it was an A10V.
Nice.
Or no, V stands for vibrato. It was maybe it was an A20 because they have the brass inlays and the A10s just have regular clay dots. And then there's the Howard Leese version of the guitar, which has little brass hearts in the.
Now Chris is asking to see the Kramer.
You want to see my Kramer? That's my baby.
We do like our Kramers.
We do. I love my Kramer. This is my Kramer. This is a Focus 3000 from '86. And I gigged with this guitar for ever. I played hundreds of shows on this thing.
What's the difference between the 3000 and the 6000?
Mine's got a pick guard.
Oh.
And the pickup isn't slanted.
Ah, okay.
That's the only difference.
Right. Okay.
So this is basically like a Pacer Deluxe. And then I forget which model of yours is the Imperial, I think. Was the American version.
I don't think it's the same as the Beretta.
No, the Beretta, well, maybe it was the Beretta.
Didn't the Berettas have arch tops?
That's what the Berettas had arch tops.
This is a flat top.
Yeah, that's a flat top. Well, either way, they're made by ESP, so they're killer guitars. Yeah. I mean, you can see.
Japanese. Ugh.
You can see I've played this guitar a lot.
Oh, apparently, okay. Apparently, Mr. I'm not building fuzzes anymore is designing another fuzz. So he's going to be lurking while fuzzing.
I've got a unique fuzz circuit that I'm going to be putting together. I don't want to say too much. Lawrence will snag it from under me and do it. Because if I say it, he'll know exactly what I mean.
Well, see, unlike you, Scott, I don't have the ability to really do much of that designing and building. At least not anymore. So I just give Lawrence the idea with the hopes that he pays me with a free version of the built final thing. And I'm fine with that. Yeah, you know.
I pick up this guitar and I start playing it. It's just
Brain just build a great fuzz face.
I'm not, there's so many of them. Why? You know, everything is
because Brian has a soft spot for fuzz faces. Why? Because he's a Strat guy.
Well, I have a soft spot for them too. They're one of my favorite fuzzes, but it's just like everybody and their brother uses that circuit, and I want to do something different.
True. Symmetry was asking, what's the radius on the Kramer neck?
I'm not sure. I think it's 16.
Really?
Yeah.
Pretty flat.
It's pretty flat, yeah.
Because even with the super low action, I actually played slide on that one night.
Nice. See, I don't use low action. My action is, some people would consider it high.
But it's got quite flat frets, as I recall. Let me just see that again.
Yeah, the original frets are really small.
Low and flat.
Yeah, they're like
flat. Well, they're pretty narrow too, but they're definitely low.
They're like vintage Fender.
Yeah, they're just wider than the vintage Fenders.
Yeah, but they're the same height. They're pretty small. Yeah, mine's been refretted, so it's got bigger mediums in it. I wanted jumbos, but the guy wouldn't do it, so I'm gonna have to get it refretted again next time. Stainless steel, so it's never. I'm gonna do the lower half of the fretboard in 6100 and the higher part of it in 6105.
All right, so there we are. Yes, hello to my sister. Hello to my knees hurt, who says I put a new pot in my guitar and tried to build some pedal kits, but gave up. That's the way it was with model kits. Let's see. Lawrence says the Phoenix fuzz, yes, that was a nice fuzz, was a very different fuzz. May have to bring that back. This one is utilizing BC 108s. Whatever that means. I hope.
Hey, there he is.
There's Nick and Sean Zimmerman and unfucking believable.
Cool.
Right.
I'm looking forward to different fuzzes. I have a bunch of fuzzes, but I want more that are different instead of just fuzz face with tweaks. You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh, since we're talking fuzzes, one of my favorite fuzzes is the Stinger Fuzz from TL Pedals.
Never heard of it.
This is TL Pedals, Tim Lewis out of New Brunswick. I think he's still building pedals. He posts stuff. I don't know. He posts more cottage photos than pedal building photos, Tim. But basically, the Stinger Fuzz BMP, it's your one of the muffs, like a 73 muff, the BMP.
Ah, okay.
But with an added mid control.
Nice.
That was my biggest problem with big muffs was they were too
have no mids
for me.
Yeah. Well, the older ones actually don't have that mid scoop. That was kind of the later ones, but
right.
It's the tone control is kind of weird on them. Not my favorite. I'd rather have a Baxendall circuit. That's the bass and treble. But you can make it 3-band too.
Yeah. Yeah. And this ain't, I was like, oh, wow, that's usable now. Yeah, Brian likes the Stinger pedal. Yeah, I think he has one. Yeah. Yeah, great. Germanium silicon. I don't know, Christopher. I'm not much of a fuzz guy, but I know what I like. The ultimate one, my ultimate favorite was, and I put a comment because he had posted a photo of one yesterday, is from Haunted Labs, their Carolina Reaper. And that's my nice comment fuzz. Was, hands down, my favorite fuzz to abuse a guitar with. He laughed.
I want a real Mark I tone bender. That's what I want. Rhett Shull has that one that he picked up at Macari's, and that thing just sounds so good. I'm like, that's what a fuzz is supposed to sound like.
The purchase of that, I know.
Oh, I think he paid a couple grand for that.
Oh, I know he paid a couple grand.
Yeah, that was not cheap.
Okay, so Brian says the Stinger is a silicon, apparently. Sure. I'll take his word for it. He says, if you don't like muffs, you need a Stinger. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of muffs, yeah.
Oh, dude. Hang on.
1970.
Look at this, folks. OG. There's your OG muff right there.
Yeah. I paid entirely too much money for this. But it was a 1971, and so it's a really early one, and I just wanted it. I have a little collection of these plug-in.
I'd seen photos of those magazines, because you can imagine how many initially even made their way over the border. And the first time I went to the Orange County Guitar Show, which is like one of the largest guitar shows in California, dude had 20 of those sitting on a table, dude. He had the LMP1, some muffs. The Mole.
The Mole, the bass booster. I had the Screaming Bird too, but it was pretty. I need to get a better one because it's missing the bottom, so it's just the guts. And somebody drilled a hole in it to put a bias pot in it, and I was like, why? Yeah.
Yo, Jeff T.
There's my LPB one. It's a little later one. It's but 74, I think. They have them in different colors: purple, blue, yellow, green.
Yeah,
I want one of each.
Stomp boxes used to bolt right into your guitar, essentially.
Yeah. I like the later ones because they made them with jacks, and then they would give you that double-ended switchcraft thing so you could choose which.
Yeah, and then you'd see them hanging out of the front of amps later, which was nice.
The LPB one, boy, that is Ace Frehley tone plugged into a plexi. Yep. That's how you get it. I'm serious. That's just, you do that, and there it is.
Nice. Yes, that's right. Brian has the custom. Well, I don't know. Is it a custom fuzz? It was one of the first. His fuzz face is a Brielle Lewis build, which is Tim's 9-year-old daughter built it for Brian.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey, Southern Boy. He says, Scott, I used to have an LM or LPB1 booster that was identical to that case style. 70s for sure.
Yep.
Nice.
They built that with that font and stuff was like 1968 to 71 or so.
Nice. And thanks, Terry. He's been posting a link to Scott's channel. So check out Scott's channel because he's starting to generate content. We were talking off air. He's doing videos on repairing pedals, and then he wants to demo the pedals as well. And that's going to be in like one. What other video do you see that? You see people repair guitars and play them in videos, repair amps and play them in videos, but I haven't seen anybody repairing pedals and playing them in videos.
Yeah, I figured I could. There's there's something there that nobody else does.
Yeah.
And I really like, like Tuford's videos are really great.
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching his stuff. And
when you texted me earlier, guess what I was watching?
You were watching him working on the
Goyas.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the other guy that I like is Uncle Doug. He's like, he's like, oh God, but he's the Bob Ross of amp repair. That's what we say. It's just fun to watch him.
Yeah, I said, because Woodford's a 3-hour drive from me because he's in Hamilton. I think if and when I get the Martin restored, because it's got a few of the telltale Martin problems that happen over 50 years, I'm like, he's the guy. Like, I'm just watching his videos. I'm like, he cares and he's innovative. Like, he's not afraid to problem solve on the fly. Like, if you've ever not even seen him do it, but talk about doing any Gibson neck reset, a Gibson acoustic neck reset, which is the most asinine joint in the world.
Yeah. He's a craftsman. That's why I recognize that from working in a shop. I'm like, this guy's a craftsman. And he knows what he's doing, and he's confident in his work. And he does really good stuff. I'm curious to see his guitar build that he's been working on forever. I'm really curious to see what he does.
Hey, there's Rob from Tesi Switch, who also carries Hipshot products. If you don't see the Hipshot product on it, though, because there's only base Hipshot products on the website, do the old blippity bloops, message him and say, hey, I got this Hipshot SKU. He could probably hook you up. Just saying.
Rob, I need that mini toggle kill switch, man. I don't have room for anything else on my Kramer. I can't put a big one in there.
Switch. Chris Thomas asked me what strain. I don't know what the strain is tonight, but I think it's that purple stuff.
Ooh, Purple Kush.
A couple people know what I'm talking about because a couple people in the chat. Well, I got it from one and I passed along some to another person.
That stuff tastes good. I miss being able to partake. Let me tell you.
Yeah, there you go. Focus. No, you don't want to focus? Fine. Well, I'm not quite in focus either.
Someday I'll come visit and we'll like fall on the floor together.
We shall partake. As they say. Hey, Johnny.
We'll see who can drool the most.
Cushman. Yeah, we got 72 people watching. That's better than most of my gigs. Perfect. Green with purple and lots of orange hairs. Yep, that sounds familiar. And hello to Chris Baseman or Bassman. I'm going to go Baseman. I don't know. Andromeda strain of the day. I love it.
Andromeda strain. Speaking of movies.
Oh, there we go. Rob says, Scott, I have a few options for limited space issues. You know what he sends you? A drill bit.
A drill bit. Okay. I don't think he's seen it, but here, look. I have severely limited space issues already. I don't know where I would probably pop the phase switch out and stick it there, but I need a momentary mini toggle so I can do my Randy Rhoads thing without pulling the jack out of the That's what I usually do. I just pull the jack out and go dee.
Only in this community, right? Chris, anywhere else, assuming that's his legit last name, even though it didn't capitalize the B, goes, yeah, like the Fender amp. Like that doesn't work. Like, hi, I'm Chris. They're like Chris Bassman. You go, yeah, like the Fender amp. They're like, what? What's a Fender amp? Whereas here you say, like the Fender amp, you're like, oh, dude, basement. Got it. Done.
Basement.
Yeah. Perfect.
Bandmaster. Deluxe.
Tesi says, I have an 8mm push button that will fit in that space.
Do you? Without making the hole bigger?
Without making the hole 8 mil. So you can get at the old caliper, micrometer.
Yeah, I'd have to go get my ruler, and I think it's quarter inch.
Well, that sounds good. 8 mil.
8 mil's a little bit bigger.
Wait.
That's almost a centimeter.
Yeah.
That's more closer to 3/8.
Yeah. Yeah, 3/8. Right. Fine. Because those mini toggles are probably 7 mil. Hey, there's the Basement Guitar Superstar and Preston Smith. They didn't carpool because I know where they both live, more or less, geographically speaking. The Field Button, though, he's over on your coast area, I do believe. Math with Canucks. Yep, never. That's the joy of being Canadian, where half our life is imperial and half of it's metric. Perfect. Thank you.
It's American. That way here in the States, too.
Yep.
It's
anyone that's worked on an American car, but it was built in Canada, where half the parts are metric, yeah, fun.
Working on Boss pedals and stuff, it's the same thing. A lot of Dunlop stuff is metric, too.
Oh, okay. Everyone's getting in here. Okay, so we got my niece hurt says 6 mils a quarter inch. Tessie says 8 mils 5/16. We've got 0.4 of an inch. I think that's what that thing means. And then my niece hurt, just for clarifying. No, not that one. We don't know. There it is. 8 mil is 2 millimeter larger than 6 mil. There you go.
See, I don't need one in the Washburn. I can just turn the neck pickup down and hit the toggle switch.
Exactly. Robot Master Switch asks, Ben, yes. Have you ever tried a bass 6, either on guitar rig or bass rig? So much fun. I have. It's in my idea. I don't know if I want a bass 6 or just baritone, because they don't call it a baritone. I don't know why. Wait, because it's tuned to E to E still, but an octave down? I can't remember. Hey, Half Ace.
Any questions?
Well, Johnny scored a 77 Marshall 1960 vintage 4x12 yesterday. Spent the day bothering his neighbors.
Nice. What speakers are in it?
Nice. Question, and it's for you, even. C&A Productions says, Scott, will mod pedals, like JHS, will mod the EHX Soul Food?
I will mod some pedals as long as they're not surface mount. But I will do specific EH ones like the micro Qtron, because they usually need a volume control. And I will not mod vintage pedals, so don't ask. I won't do it. Unless it's like something that's reversible, like a true bypass switch. Other than that, yeah, because I've had people ask me already, hey, I've got this 73 Big Muff. Will you put the toggle switch in it so I can switch the diodes on and off? And I'm like, no. Yeah. Don't ruin vintage pedals. Buy something new and mod that.
Yeah, unless you're able to put the switch in internally where it essentially is bypassing the circuit, where you say, then you could clip it out essentially and reattach.
Yeah. I'll do.
It's like when people overpay for a script Phase 90. I'm like, just buy a block letter and clip the R28 resistor.
Yeah. Clip the resistor out of it. It's the same exact thing. I never understood that either.
A pair of side cutters are less than $50.
Yep. You can get some nice ones for about $12. Some really nice ones.
You can go to the dollar store. They only have to work for one clip.
They only,
Well, as long as you clip that one resistor, you're done.
Or if you have, a soldering iron.
Late. He is in the greater Boise, Idaho area.
Yes.
The GBA.
The GBA. I'm in Potatoville.
Let's see her. Brian Laper says, never make anything 10 millimeter because you already lost all your 10 millimeter sockets. So true. Randy Brooks asks, what's the best concert you've ever seen?
Best concert I've ever seen? Oh, that's tough. What style of music?
Touche.
Yeah, because there's
Johnny
a couple.
Celestion G12, 16 ohms in those
Ooh,
in
nice.
that tab we picked up.
Greenbacks? I'll just tell you which two concerts. So the best like overall concert that I've ever been to was I got to see Chick Corea and Frank Gambale in a little club in Seattle. That show, I was walking on air when I left that show. It was just amazingly good. Both of those guys were just insane. And the best rock or metal show that I saw was Iron Maiden and Anthrax opening up for them at the Seattle Center. I also saw Metallica. If you've seen the Binge and Purge videos, they filmed that in Seattle. I was there. At the second show, I went to that. That was a cool show. But then, I saw Monsters of Rock too in the Kingdome, but it was the Kingdome, so it was really echoey.
Right.
But I mean, I got to see the Scorpions and Van Halen and Dokken and Metallica there too. So,
and Kingdom Come.
And Kingdom Come. And I liked Kingdom Come. I still do. I thought they were really good, even though they, get it on. Yeah.
That was more Zeppelin than Zeppelin.
It was. It really
it was a great tribute in that respect. I'm like, this is the most Zeppelin-y Zeppelin until Greta Van Fleet said, hold our non-alcoholic beers because we're too young to drink.
I have to say, though, that Van Halen was the loudest band I have ever seen by far. And I've seen Motorhead and AC/DC. Van Halen, when Tammy was in the band, was ungodly loud. It was crazy. My mom said that she could hear Van Halen at the hotel that we were staying at 15 blocks away up the hill from the Kingdome. I mean,
dome.
Yeah.
It's not open air.
Well, it's gone now.
Yeah.
But it was a dome.
Open air now.
Yeah. Good. Oh, man, they were loud. My ears rang for like 2 weeks. I drank like half a fifth of R&R on the way there, too.
Nice.
Yeah, I was pretty.
Chris Thomas says loudest band for him was Dinosaur Jr. I can see that. They're very loud. Unfucking Believable says Satriani for him. Chris Baseman opened for Ace Frehley once, and they were super loud. Nice. On multiple levels, loud, and you got to open for Ace.
Sepultura was really loud, too.
I bet.
I got to see them in a small club. I got to see Quiet Riot in that same club.
Hey, Adam D. Good to see Adam D in here. Half Ace caught the Maiden and Anthrax in Minneapolis.
Nice. That was a killer tour. That was the Seventh Son tour. They had just gotten Yannick Gers had replaced Adrian Smith in the band.
C&A Productions was also asking, what are your thoughts on mini pedals? Like the $30 pedals that sound big.
I like them because you can fit more pedals on your pedal board.
Mm-hmm.
I like them for that. The thing that I don't like about them is I'm not a fan of Surface Mount because it's really difficult to work on.
Sure.
I mean, and they say that Surface Mount is more reliable and blah, blah, blah.
But they're essentially disposable, aren't they not?
Musicians spill beer on everything.
Yeah.
You know that. I know that.
Pedals are beer proof.
Yeah,
or beer resistant, I should say.
They also stand on things, and your audience will stand on things, especially if you're in a metal band. They'll get up on stage and mosh right over the top of your pedal board, and there goes all the knobs. So
one of your knobs leaves the pedal board stuck in the bottom of
someone's shoe. Exactly, I've seen that happen. And somebody will dump their drink on your pedal board and everything will go, oh, man. Yeah, that's one thing that I'm going to do with my pedals is there's some tricks that I learned from some of the old the old pedal manufacturers, and MXR was one of them. Everybody, if you've ever taken the knob off an MXR pedal, and there's that little mica washer in there, people always wonder, why did they put those in there? You know why that's in there? It's to keep the knob from bottoming out on the shaft of the pot. So if you put that in there, you can step on that knob with all your weight, and it will not push the shaft down and break the pot. And that's something that I've fixed in quite a few pedals recently, is that somebody stood on the knob when they hit it, and it broke the pot.
Down the gauntlet, because I am afraid to step on any pedals, but I'm just saying. No,
well, I mean,
he's upgraded. He's got the metal knobs on the metal, like he's gone full metal too. That's his other thing I noticed. There's no plastic knobs on the newer gear, I noticed.
I just want to put, stuff like little rubber gaskets around stuff.
Yep.
Like the Mutron pedals had. Right. They had rubber gaskets around the pots and stuff so that even if you do spill a drink on it, stuff can't get in there. Of course, it leaked in where the rocker switches were. But, just little stuff like that.
Robot Master Switch says, Scott's story is why people buy Squires and Epiphones and Behringers for gigs.
Exactly.
Nice.
I'm a big fan of putting your pedals in a rack and using a switching system.
Sure.
That's what I would do, at least if I had the money.
Yeah, but
everybody making all these complex.
Then we'd have 4 drawers, Scott, and each one is a separate pedal board, and our switchers are switching between the entire pedal boards.
Yeah,
that's how we would roll.
Yeah, that's how I would roll. I would have a Bradshaw type of thing where I can program, and have buffers or none. I was watching the guy that works for UA sometimes. What's his name? He was on Tone Talk. The old guy that knows everything. What's his name? Sorry, I'm old. I forget stuff. Anyway, he had his fuzz faces in a rack like that, where he could just pull the drawer out, and he's got his old fuzz faces in there. He could just turn them on and off with the switching system. That's the way to roll. I mean, then you don't have to worry about it, unless you're a shoegaze band and you want to, have the rubber things on the knobs. So
Michael B says Dave F. Oh, that'd be Dave Friedman.
Yeah, Dave Friedman. Yeah. Tone Talk's a killer show. I love that show.
A few people talking digging with cheaper guitars. Nice. All right. Oh, Symmetry's throwing down the gauntlet. How about only three quintessential pedals?
3 quintessential pedals. Well, that's easy. Clyde McCoy wah pedal, Univibe, fuzz face. Those are the 3 quintessential pedals to me.
Sorry?
Could you
repeat that?
Yeah, Clyde McCoy wah pedal.
Yep.
Univibe.
Yep.
And fuzz face or tone bender.
Okay.
One of the 2.
Nice. Hello to Jason Lindholm. I see. I got thrown off because I'm listening to you, and then I read Robot Mass Switch, which cracked up LPD. He says, I'm bringing my LPD pedal collection down to Shardy Phil's for the meat raffle and Rush sing-along, said no one ever.
Said no one. I'd have to throw Phase 90 in there, too. That's one of my favorite pedals.
All right,
of all
I'm
time.
allowed 3 pedals. All right.
Yeah, Ben, what's your 3?
All right, I'm taking the 87 Deluxe.
Killer pedal.
Yep.
I want one.
Yep. It does a lot. There's a lot of pedal there. That's the great thing. There's a lot. Well, I suppose even in 87, because you can toggle it on your own, but whatever. In 87, hello, Ian Nunez. Lawrence's delay, the White Rabbit delay, which may become the Ben Coombs signature delay, because I think he's pretty much killed off that circuit. Right, Lawrence? For a guy who's lurking, you're pretty active in the chat, just saying. And, yeah, and then, you know what? Because I don't have a lot of experience with them, but I do love the sound, I'm going with my Mxr Stereo Chorus.
Nice. Old one or new one?
Here, I'll grab it. Let's see how secured it is to the board.
I love the old 3-knobber.
Oh, that's right, because I ran a bunch of wires under the pedal. Aha.
Mxr are my favorite pedals, like the old ones.
Oh, man, this is dirty as sin. It's got hair on it, mung.
Ah, the newer one, yeah.
Sure. I bought this off Sean Pierce Johnson.
Nice.
Sean's
got a lot of pedals, too.
He gigged with this for a long time. This was his Cockeyed Optimist chorus pedal. You know, so it's seen the Vans Warped Tour and all that fun stuff.
Nice.
Lawrence. Lawrence says, well, I can bounce back quickly, back and forth. Don't judge me. All right. So he's truly multitasking. Hey, David. David Pekarski. I think I said that right. Hello. Welcome. I think that's a new name in here. PJ and the Beard here. See, they know their pedals too.
Yeah. I thought you didn't like chorus pedals.
Oh, I love chorus pedals.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's damn near and always on. The sad part, it's damn near and always on.
Okay. Just not that A-Moon chorus pedal.
Well, no. Because the biggest thing is I find if I run the intensity at like 9 o'clock position, it's there just enough that guys like you are in the crowd come up to me after the set and go, what you got going on there? I'm hearing something. I don't know what it is, but I hear something, right? Because it's so subtle. Mm-hmm. And then you throw it up to about 11 o'clock. There, you're getting your Eddie Van Halen, not quite the full-on D-tune, wet, dry, wet, but, earlier Eddie, but messing with choruses. Mm-hmm. Then if you throw the 87 on the red channel and you just take the intensity up to about 2 or 3 o'clock position, it's Zakk Wylde.
Oh, yeah.
So
thanks, Johnny.
Nice. Thanks, Johnny. So, yeah, Mxr Stereo Chorus, or the Boss CE2, if I'm going mono, I guess. But I dig this because it's got the extra EQ portion. It's got stuff going on, and it's a complicated pedal that I like.
I like the CE1, too. I wish I could afford one. I used to have one. See, my house burned down, and I lost a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, some years back. So I'm rebuilding my collection of things. I was one of them.
Okay, David says he's a new subscriber. He says close enough. Perfect on the name. Excellent. Never caught the live, but many streams I've moderated. Awesome. Well, thanks, buddy. Do appreciate it. Michael B says tube screamer, compressor, and a Univibe. Nice. Next is an OD and a phaser. Sure, of course. Adam D says, Ben, thanks for the opportunity for someone like Lawrence to sort of know me. Or sort of kind of know me. Even better.
Sort of kind.
Well, this is a place where Lawrence gets to shamelessly plug anything coming out. Yep. So Unbelievable's agreeing. So you just recap me. LPD 87, yep, chorus, and a White Rabbit. That's right.
I mean, I got to have one of everything. So.
Well, yeah.
I showed you my pedals. I have a whole bunch.
Lawrence says Tube Screamer, Rat, and DD2. Notice Lawrence doesn't mention any of his own pedals.
Which Tube Screamer, though, Lawrence?
If I'm not going with modulation, my Lost Dutchman, a.k.a. the Dutch, which may or may not be still around. Hey, Bruce.
I live in Nampa, Idaho, Tesi, and yeah, I can fix your pedals as long as they're not surface mount because I don't have the tools right now. I will in the future, but I have to order the tools.
Yeah, Tesi's got about, I think, 3.26 trunk loads of pedals that need to be repaired.
Nice. Most of the stuff that I'm fixing now, I fix for Tommy at Tommy's guitar shop there in Everett, Washington. He's an old friend of mine.
Oh, nice.
And he just sends me a box every couple weeks, and I fix them and send them back.
Aha. Symmetry says, okay, guys, what do I need to know about using 2 amps out of a stereo pedal, i.e. ground loops and phase inversion? I don't know. I just use this. That's most of my experience running stereo, and it worked. I didn't have to do anything. It was in phase. Isn't it true, Scott, that you can sometimes just flick one of the amps on and off a couple times? And
For
sometimes it'll go back into phase. Like if you have that problem with the stereo rig.
no, you need an ABY box that has a phase reversal on it.
Well, there you go. You can get one of them.
Yeah, Morley makes one that's pretty cheap. There's more expensive ones that are better. Ah, nice, Lawrence. TS9. I'm more of an 808 guy. I like my 808s.
Nice. And apparently Tesi says I was close on the amount of pedals. And he said most of the pedals he has are Joyos, many of which just need a new foot switch put in.
A lot of the times with the Joyos, you can probably fix it yourself. What happens is that the switch doesn't get soldered good enough at the factory, and it's not actually broken. It's just not soldered good enough.
Okay. Now, if you're willing to risk that, I figured, Tessi's into kill switches. He should be able to solder. He's not like me that whenever I solder, it just leads to swearing and burnt fingers.
Yeah, what I do with those is I add a little lead solder to it so I can get the old solder out.
Yep.
Because I have a pump, and a vacuum. That thing will save you so much money and time. Yeah. And then just resolder it with decent solder, because the solder they use is kind of crap. You have to get it super hot. I don't like it, and it doesn't flow very well. So I just replace it. I've bought a whole bunch of K-line pedals from a reseller in Canada.
Yep.
And I've gotten a few that were like that. They just didn't work, and that's all I had to do was reflow the switches, and they all work perfectly.
Well, I'm gonna have to remember that. Because I'll keep my eye. Well, I'm not sure if it works. All right.
I'll link you the guy too, because he sells them super cheap, like $30 each.
John, good to see John, my friend here. He says, "How was the fish?" He was trying to think of a good question to ask in a super chat. How was the fish? The fish was excellent. For those, I had cod bites, which is it looks like a fish chicken nugget, except it's cod and it's battered and not breaded. Nice. Made some of them up with some onion rings. Good. Yeah, I phoned for Sunday dinner this week, but it was fun to eat. And hello, Jim Cox. He says he has a TS9 that lights up, has a 9.43 volt in battery, but cuts out when turned on.
Probably a bad op amp. That's easy to fix.
There we go.
If you open it up and find the JRC 4558, you can measure from the positive and negative inputs on the op amp. And if you have 0 volts or full voltage 9 volt instead of 4.5-ish, then the chip is bad. I fixed those so much.
Apparently BC Rich had to step away, watch a rocket get launched. I don't know if that's just a euphemism or an actual rocket launch. And we got Boner Jams in the house. He says, I thought I turned into Brazzers live stream. Nope. Just a couple of the most handsome men in the Northern Hemisphere. What's going on, everyone? We were waiting for
Boner
you.
Jams.
Good to see Boner Jams in the house.
Amanda.
Yeah. Let's see here. There was one. Yeah, Phil had asked. Got a Behringer DD400 digital delay. Perfect. Is it crap, or do I just not know how to use it?
You might just not know how to use it.
You know what? In years past, I would have said it was crap without, just dismissing it, saying it was crap because Behringer. But if Josh Scott has taught me correctly, that's it. Taught me correctly, and I know he has because Josh wouldn't lie to us. He said Behringers are basically just ripoffs of successful popular pedals. So I assume it's probably a knockoff of maybe a DD, like a Boss DD3 or I don't know, whatever.
DD2 or DD3.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so, it does what it does. I don't know how it's good or bad. It's like, I'm trying to think because there's no tone shaping. It's like saying a good or a bad one. Oh, because some reverbs do suck the more or less right out of tone. But a digital delay is just, it should be transparent, just mimics, and you're just setting time.
I used to have problems using digital delays when I was younger until I bought a metronome and learned how to play in time, and then it became a lot easier.
Thank you very much, Unfucking Believable. He says, gotta walk the dogs. I will be back. Scott is the coolest.
Oh, thanks, man. You're awesome, Chris.
Okay, and it was a NASA launch, so it wasn't a euphemism for something else from BC Rich. Good to know. Jay Steen. He says, there you go. He says, I had a DD400 and it was real nice. Gave it to a friend of mine. And he liked it.
Sometimes they're broken when you new. So just
another new name in the chat. I want to say, is it Jigzor? Jigzor, BMR? I'll say hi, Jay. Or Mr. BMR. Well, now I'm assuming gender. Are the Behringer plastic pedal cases not shielded? Well, I know they're plastic.
No, they are not.
They're not.
No,
Should they
are.
be?
Yes, they are on the bottom, but the rest of the plastic housing is not.
Right. So would it be advantageous, say, if I had a Behringer to pull the casing off and then copper tape it?
Maybe, as long as it doesn't short out anything.
Well, yeah, you run that risk. But assuming the clearances and stuff, yeah, you're just literally dipping it in there.
They're packed pretty tight sometimes.
All right, I'll take your word for it. I have a Behringer pedal because I needed a noise gate. And you know what? Behringer, why not? It was half the price of an MXR, and it did what all it had to do was function. You know, as far as with a noise gate, all it has to do is function.
For me,
digital delay versus analog delay. What's the difference?
Digital delay is a lot crisper and cleaner and has full range, and analog delay is warmer and doesn't have necessarily as long of times as a digital delay has. Although some of them can get, 800 milliseconds-ish if they cascaded the Bucket Brigade chip, but they're going to be pretty noisy.
Yeah, like I look at, ironically, if the carbon copy isn't. But a digital delay should be a carbon copy, right?
Carbon copy's a great pedal.
Oh, yeah, they are. Don't get me wrong. But a digital delay should be a carbon copy representation. I can set it. I want 10 repeats. It should be 10 repeats, and the 10th one should sound the same as the first one, as opposed to a carbon copy being analog. By that 10th repeat, it just sounds... Whatever note you are, it becomes just a knocking sound.
It depends on the chip, too. A lot of stuff is PT2399s.
Sure.
And you need to cascade them if you want to keep the quality of the audio up at longer delay times, because they were made for karaoke machines, not for guitars. So, seriously, the chips, that's what they were for. And if you cascade them, you can get them a lot cleaner. They're not as clean as a Boss, which is dedicated, designed for that.
Awesome. Bruce thanks us for that. Okay, Chris is headed out, sundown. He's got to take care. All right. And thank you, Johnny, for the cold snack donation. Awesome. I just happened to pick up a new case of cold snacks the last time I was out and about, because I had to pick up garbage bag tags. And wouldn't you know it, the closest place to buy a garbage bag tags, because I'm right in the corner of a municipality, is I got to drive halfway to the next town. And there's a convenience store, and it's one of the handful of convenience stores that's allowed to sell beer in this province, which is not a normal thing. Usually you got to go to the beer store to buy the beer.
The beer store?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
we don't
I
have
just picked up a 30-pack of cold snacks and a 5-pack of garbage bag tags, and I was set. I was like, perfect.
When you were in California, did it surprise you that you could walk into a 7-Eleven and buy a fifth of Jack Daniels?
No.
No?
No, because I've been Florida.
Ah, right.
It's interesting, some states, like, what you have to buy here, and you got to buy that, spent a lot of time in North Carolina, beer and wine or wine-based stuff, or beer-oriented, like Mike's Hard Lemonades and stuff like that, the Twist Iced Teas, all in the convenience store, but you couldn't buy actual hard liquor.
Yeah.
You had to go to the liquor store for that. I was like...
Yeah, you can't buy hard liquor here or in Washington. Yeah. You have to go to the liquor store. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas... the way, here it's like booze is booze. You either can buy booze at the place or you can't. Doesn't matter how strong or weak it is.
Oh, flavor of the day. Someone asked me a question, so Ben can partake.
There we go. And I'm lost in the chat anyway. So yeah, go for it.
And thanks to whoever has subscribed to me. I think I missed a couple of you. Things are going a little too quick on the chat for me sometimes, and I can't keep up.
All right. Chris Baseman wants to play doom metal. We'll get you doom on. Florida sucks, but our weed is fire, Adam D says. Sure. I don't know. Never had weed in Florida.
I've never been to Florida. Farthest east I've been is Minnesota.
The last time I went to Florida, I was at Bike Week in 1993.
You can buy booze at all stores in Washington now? Huh. I haven't lived there in 6 years. So
Chris Baseman needs a phaser and a chorus. Phase 90, and then your choice of choruses. Chorusi? Choruses, this is. Chorus.
Chorus.
Paul Leonard Ewing. Speaking of pedals, you think you got pedals? That guy has pedals.
Man, you should see Tommy's collection. Wow. He's got 300 or 400 pedals, I think. It's crazy. Josh Scott was bugging him for a couple of them. He's like, no.
Adam B says he can hook me up the net. Well, see, that's one of the great things about YouTube is I don't have to worry about where certain areas of the world where I can't legally just walk into a place and buy my stuff to partake on. Chances are I know when you find cats in and around. Hey, Buzz Wilson. He was at Bike Week in 93. I thought I saw you.
I know if I move back to Washington, I'll be able to.
We had about 80 people in here.
Really?
Chris,
nice.
Yeah, actually, that's a good choice. Get the Deluxe Phase 95. Yeah, it's smaller and it's four phasers in one, including one phaser that was never actually released as its own pedal.
Which one was that?
Well, because you got two sides. You got your Phase 90 side, right, which is block and script circuits. The other side is Phase 45.
Right.
You could call it a block and script, but there was only ever one Phase 45.
Yeah, they only had the one circuit because it's only two stage. So
right, but it's Phase 45 block wave, and the other one's triangular, maybe, or something. I don't know. They do sound different. But yeah,
I'll have to
I
get
don't
one of
even
those.
know if I knew where the box was. I'd look it up in Manuel. But still, I don't even know what freaking I've owned that. Well, whenever the Phase 95 came out, when it was announced at the NAMM show 2016, we'll say. Let's say 2016 for the shits and giggles. January 2016, they announced it. I got mine the previous November because the music wholesaler in Vancouver screwed up, and MXR had sent 20 Phase 95s to Canada to be sent out to MXR people for checking them out, I guess. It just happened the day that they came in. They were just entered into the database. Like, it was literally the perfect time of day to call. And I still walked into Ardens. I'm like, hey, when can I get my hands on one of those? The clerk's like, I don't know. I'll call up the wholesaler. So he called up Coast Music in Vancouver. He's like, yeah, can I get a Phase 95? I'm like, sure. Do you want it with or without the power adapter? I'm like,
nice.
Without. So they did the without, but then they shipped the one with. So I didn't get a deal on the pedal through Ardens, but he honored the quote, which was the price without the power adapter. So I had paid full price for without, even though I got the power adapter with it. So the owner personally gave it to me. He goes, just so you know, your pedal cost me $15 because they did charge him correctly, but he honored the quote.
Oh,
so,
no.
A stand-up guy. He's like, yeah, just so you know. I'm like, all right. And then I literally picked it up at the Trenton location because he messed me which location he wanted at. I told him. Picked it up, left there, drove a mile down the road to the venue I was playing that night. Walk in for load in, start setting up. Off comes old phaser, on goes Phase 95. Richie looks over, he's like, what's that? I'm like, Phase 95. He's like, what the fuck's a Phase 95? I'm like, haven't you heard about them? Like, there's been some rumors of this new phaser coming out for NAMM. He goes, yeah. I'm like, I got one. How? I'm like, they fucked up. That's all I'm saying. And I gigged with it that night.
Nice.
So I can say I was the first Canadian ever to use one because it was like Andy had Pro Guitar Shop had just teased one or something a day or two earlier or a week earlier or whatever it was. So because I got it, like I think I ordered it Monday and it came in Friday.
Cool. Randy, no, I do not have any experience with those.
Let's see.
I would have, but there's so many pedals now. Like when my shop closed down in 2007, I moved back with my parents and helped my mom take care of my dad while he had cancer and stuff. So like then we moved here. I've been out of the loop for like 11 years or something. So it's been in the last year when I got back into music and stuff, it's been just like, wow, there's all this stuff now. You know, there's tons of pedal companies that I've never heard of. And there's all this stuff on YouTube. And it's like, man, I wish I had this stuff when I was 15. You know, it's crazy how much stuff is out now.
All right. So Billy Baloney brings up a point. So Scott, he says, you know, you have too many pedals when Josh Scott wants yours.
That's true.
Josh Scott wants these.
He wants your Memphis pedals. Which ones do you have?
I have the distortion and the mini flanger.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, those are copies of MXRs, right?
No. Well, Lawrence could tell you that better than me because I always noticed this one the mini flange had a volume drop. So I sent this off to Lawrence along with this one that never really worked. And someone had modded it and put a jack in the side and they fucked it up, apparently.
That's just weird.
So Lawrence put another jack inside, and you see, I was trying to sell it before, and Lawrence just said, screw it, I'm not removing the sticker with your price tag. I'll just drill right through it, because that's how Lawrence rolls. Thanks, Lawrence. Love it. Yeah, it said, use any Boss adapter. No. So at my first NAMM show, I ran into Josh Scott, and I mentioned, he goes, oh, you have some of those? I'm like, yeah. I said that, you know, there was originally 7 in the run, all the same color, you know, great on a dark pedal board, all the same color pedal.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I have 2 of them, and I always keep an eye out. And dude, I picked these up for a song because the guy didn't know what they were, you know. And I think Lawrence said this was loosely on, Distortion Plus.
Yep.
But the mini flange, 2 knobber, you have a speed and the emphasis is a blend. And when you can blend in a flange, I wanted Lawrence to recreate this mini flange because I would love to release this.
Which chip does it use? Do you know?
Well, that's probably the thing. It's probably a chip he can't get. And I know he's busy back building pedals again. So,
yeah.
Billy Baloney wants a Ross phaser. I haven't had any Ross pedals. I'd like to try some Ross stuff.
The Ross phaser is cool. It's a Phase 90, but it has an additional feedback circuit so you can control it. It's really cool.
Zach Thong asks, have I ever been to the Coburg, Long, and McQuaid? Well, technically, yes, but the one you're thinking of, no. Because when Long and McQuaid did their big expansion, they bought out George's Music in Coburg, longtime mom and pop, ironically enough, owned by a guy named George. Perfect. They bought him out. George was Scott. George was smart. He adjusted the inventory ever so slightly, so he took like the best 20% of his inventory out the door with himself before selling it to the corporate office. Because the corporate office came in, they just literally changed the signs while renovating a former car dealership as a store. So, because that's how they roll. And so, yes, after they had gone over, because I went in there to buy clearance stuff, because I knew it was stuff that Long McQuaid didn't carry, that George's did. So, picked up some stuff there. But yeah, it was always a cool shop when it was George's. Haven't been to the new location since they built it, because now I got Long McQuaid literally a mile right over there.
I miss having stores close by that aren't Guitar Center. I really miss in the 80s and 90s, being able to go on safari, like, how Joe Bonamassa talks about. We used to do that. I used to go on pedal safari.
Well, and I liked it too because generally, I don't know how it was around where you were, but let's say for every 3 music stores, 2 of them were more or less an academy that had absolute shite for gear.
Yeah, we had a few of those, yeah.
So, but they may carry a line of pedals. They always seem to carry a line of, and especially back in the day, it could be PV pedals or Boss or MX. Like there was a variety of
or weird stuff like Coron pedals.
Yeah, and then you'd find the 1 in 3 shops that was cool. Just some dude that wanted a place to hang out and had a bunch of guitars, so he opened a guitar shop, and that's where you found anything and everything.
For me, it's like I was in the greater Seattle area, so there was pawn shops everywhere.
Yeah.
Did my video freeze? Can you still hear me? Okay.
Yeah, it was freezing a little bit, but I can still hear you.
Yeah, sometimes my internet's not that great. Man, just in downtown Seattle, there was 2 or 3 music stores. Like Seattle Music. Nikki Sixx that's where he got his first bass, was at Seattle Music. He walked in there with an empty case and asked for a job application. And the guy said, yeah, sure. And he went in the back to get a job application. He pulled the bass off the wall and stuck it in the case and walked out the door with it. Yeah. So
there was no security back in the day.
Yeah, there was no security back then. And there was just pawn shops everywhere. And they had just a wall full of guitars and cases full of pedals. And my favorite store was Al's Guitarville, which was Al's Pawn and Loan, but it became a guitar store afterwards because they just had so much stuff. I mean, they had like 12, 20. They had at least 12 6-foot-long cases full of pedals. And there was Benson Echo Rex just stacked on top of each other, and Echoplexes, and just all this stuff. And I used to go there and I would buy pedals and they would give me deals. I mean, like I remember buying an electric Mistress flanger for like $40, or MXR. My mom, I was 16 or 17. Hey, Mom, can I get this pedal? Just MXR flanger for $50, or envelope filter for $60. Now they're $300 and some. And I had like 2 Clyde McCoy wah pedals.
Tubbies. Did you ever go there, Chubby and Tubbies?
Yeah, Chubby and Tubbies. I remember Chubby and Tubbies.
Okay. Nice.
They're kind of a knick-knack store. I remember that original 99-cent store was right underneath the monorail station in Seattle.
Very cool.
That was a cool place. Woolworths.
Billy Baloney says, yeah, when Guitar Center came to Cleveland, all the mom and pop shops closed in about 2 years. I get it.
Yeah. We survived because their closest store was in Linwood, because there was no retail space available for them in Everett, where my shop was. So we were 25 miles away from Guitar Center. So we still managed to survive until the owner of the shop passed away.
Right.
And
I remember too, like learning from my dad, because my dad had owned businesses as a kid and stuff, and he'd tell me about all the deals. Like how much is this? And they say $10. So you're like, well, what if I buy 10 of them? What kind of deal you? So he always told me, like, if you saw several items, is like, as long as you can afford it, buy it all, and then you never know, you could sell half of it and make back to pay for the rest, type thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's brilliant. And so I remember, because we never had pawn shops around here until the early 90s. They started doing buy and sell shops, which are not the same as pawn, but close enough. It basically brought a used market all of a sudden to the area. And I think 3 popped up in a year as soon as they were starting to be allowed. And I became friends with the owner of all 3. And so, because none of them really knew about guitars, but they all had a guy to take a look at them. And I was just like, yeah, like if you don't want to pay to have them set up or anything, like I'll buy them before they even hit the floor. And I was buying them 3 at a time for like, like cheap Hondos and stuff, for like 3 of them for $120.
No, it's great though, because
and then you sell them for $75.
Yeah, well, especially back then too, because people used to mod their guitars all the time. You know, you could buy all those cheap Hondos and, oh, hey, this has a vintage Marzio Super Distortion in it. You know, I'm gonna pop that out and stick one of these cheap pickups in it, and then get my money back. And I got a free pickup. You know,
and then with the build inconsistencies, it's like these two guitars don't play well. You swap the necks, avoid neck shims in either one, and they both play much better as a result. And you're like,
yep.
Perfect.
We used to do that at our shop all the time with the cheap guitars. We get in back when the Squires were made in China and stuff and Indonesia, and they were just terrible. You know, they were $129 guitars, new.
Right.
You just swap the necks around and, hey, this plays really good now. You know, it's like, I miss those times.
Oh, yeah.
Just reams of stuff everywhere.
That's where, unfortunately, the internet killed that whole
industry
in many ways.
Destroyed the buyer's market for mom and pop stores and stuff.
And like checking out want ads in the local papers. You know, like before you had Craigslist, you know, it was the want ads essentially, and going, you know, and that was the great because you would show up and you look around the room. Well, what else you got? Well, I'm here. Or like how many times I bought a guitar and they throw in a pedal as the throw in while negotiating.
I can't tell you how many times I went to buy a pedal, and I did the same thing. What else you got? Oh, I've got this old guitar under the bed, you know, and they'll pull out like a 60 Strat or something. Well, what do you want for that? A couple $100. Yeah, okay, you know, yeah, I'll take that off your hands. I think I can do that, you know. Or they would have some amps, or we used to go garage sailing too because we had this thing called the Little Nickel. And that was what you're talking about, you know, the want ads. And we would go all garage sales that were listed because they would list what they have, you know, music gear.
Yep.
And we go check them out. And
one son that moved away, and the parents are like, look, we got a guitar, we got an amp, we got a music stand, we got a guitar stand, and they just give me $50 for all of it or whatever.
Or grandpa passed away, you know, and he was into doing radio or ham or something.
Sure.
And I would get boxes of tubes and parts, and oh man, that was just, you know, for $50 I'd go home with like $1,000 worth of parts. That was just so great, you know, because I was totally into that stuff when I was in high school too. So
yeah, a bunch of people are talking about similar things there. I remember Dad still keeps an eye on auctions and stuff.
I do too. And the one thing,
estate sales and auctions, that's the one thing that is still consistent, like an estate sale.
You were talking about the thing with the internet kind of ruining that thing, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like Reverb, is because they're not transparent about what things actually sell for, and eBay has started to do that too. If they accept best offers, it doesn't list what it's sold for. Mm-hmm. So everybody now thinks that, I can buy something and use it for a year and then put it on Reverb for 95% of retail, and it's like, no, that's not how it works. You know, there's no warranty anymore. You've beat the crap out of it. It's you bought something for $100. It's not worth $90. You know, it's maybe worth $60 at the most. That's one of the things that bugs me about it, especially with pawn shops and mom and pops, is they get down there and they see something, you know, there's a Univibe for $2,000 that's been sitting there for like 7 years, you know. Yeah. Think, mine's worth that much then, you know, and it's just.
And the ad is listed by a fellow mom and pop somewhere else.
Yeah. So it like
hosed on the trade-in to begin with. They paid full retail in the first place for it.
Yeah. So they're trying to get their investment back out of it. And it has artificially inflated the market value for a lot of things. It's like, I go look on there and I go, why is a Kramer Focus $1,000? You know? They're good guitars, yeah, but they're not worth $1,000. When I can go, you know, buy a Fender for $1,200, you know, or a Gibson, you know, Japanese bolt-on guitars are not worth that kind of money. The neck throughs I can understand, like the Washburn, it's a neck through. Yeah, I can understand that. Mm-hmm. But just so many guitars are just. I see, like the Hondos and stuff. I saw one of those lightning bolt Hondo guitars, and somebody wanted like $600 for it. And I'm like, I remember we couldn't give those things away for $100.
I know.
They were so terrible, You know,
It's been crazy because, of course, we all know prices have gone up on the secondary market over the last year.
yeah, it's a seller's market.
You don't realize it until like when you think, okay, we've been locked down, like we're still locked down until June here, but I think we were open 4 months since last March, we'll say. Okay. And I was able to briefly, last time we were open in February, Mayhem and I went over to the local pawn shop, and the stuff that should be priced at $450 is now $650. And I'm just, what?
What? Yeah.
Like, just for garbage. I'm like, no, these are really the $300. They were $300 guitars 5-6 years ago. They crept up to $450, and now they've jumped us. I'm like, I can buy a brand new Epiphone for $700.
Exactly. I can buy a fantastic guitar with a hard case for $800. Why would I spend that kind of money on that when I have to take it home and fix it and replace the pickups in it and the electronics because they're from the 80s in Korea and they didn't work for more than a month after you bought the thing. You remember that kind of stuff, right? You would bring a guitar home and the jack would break like within a month.
Oh, yeah.
We had to fix that stuff. I remember fixing that stuff all the time, and their frets were terrible, and they had massive fret sprout, and they would cut you, and they buzz, and man, they were just. I remember like specifically the Hondo guitars and stuff like that, the early cheap Japanese guitars, how the metal would start to bubble underneath the chrome, and you would take the bridge out, and pieces of it would break off. The pot metal was just so cheap. It's like, and now they're trying to get how much for these guitars?
I know.
It's like, it's like they're just, they're not worth that.
All Japanese guitars were built the same, folks.
No, they weren't. Some of them were just junk that they sold in the back of Hit Parader,
Exactly. It's like, the Kramers were built by ESP,
Yeah. Well, I mean, they built. It's like the Chinese guitars. If you're willing to pay for the QA, they will make great stuff.
Yeah. Look at what Eastman.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like
Epiphones.
Brand.
Epiphones. Man, those are killer.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my heart set on a Ghost Horse. Because I want that guitar. I'm a fan of Brendan Smalls. He's our age, and I just I love Explorers, and I've wanted one for years. I was going to buy the black one that you did the video on, and Tone King bought the V and the Explorer. I wanted one of those, but then the Ghost Horse is like, wow, and it's only like $7.99. It's like, I want that like really bad. And I remember back in the 90s, Epiphones. You remember the Epiphone Special series? Oh, they were so bad.
Yeah,
just terrible guitars.
Good, like what that was made in 97, the made in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Those, try finding one of those. I bet you those are going for $1,000 Canadian now for a made in Korea Epiphone. Because they were better than the Chinese ones.
They were.
It's an MIK, sweet. They
were good guitars.
Yeah, and like that one, it was a 57. They called it a 57 Tribute, even though it's got a 60 slim taper neck. But gold top, I don't like gold tops, never have. So I refinned it a couple of times just because I was like, damn it. Richie handed it to me. He goes, it's beat to hell. He goes, give me $175 for it. And I was just like, damn it. The price is right. It plays amazing, sounds amazing. I don't know what it is about it. It's got mojo. I beat the hell out of it. They've refinned it twice. It still plays great, sounds great.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's like, I have picked up so many guitars.
It again, though. That's what it is due for another relic.
Some of them are, you can find diamonds in the rough, man. They can be just cheap guitars, but somebody that day at the plant was there on a Wednesday and they were like, okay, I'm going to make this one good. And then you'll run across that guitar somewhere and it's like, wow, this thing's great. And it's cheap. Those are the deals that I miss when you could find stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And you could get it for $200.
The guitar that was priced so cheap you're thinking, I have no use for this guitar, but it plays too well for me to put it down.
Yep, it just plays so good. I have to have it.
Yeah, like a lot of those 150, 175 jobs, even 2 1/4, you know.
Pan guitars. Somebody just mentioned the LARP guitars. Pan, you remember the Pan company?
Yeah.
Those were sold in Canada. Those were great guitars. I had a red Telecaster.
Their acoustics, not so much.
No, their acoustics, they were terrible. I had a red Pan Telecaster. It was a killer guitar. It had a maple neck, and it even had Pan inlaid in the headstock, and it wasn't a decal. It was really well-made guitar. It sounded great. I wish I still had that guitar. That was a really good guitar.
Brian Landreth mentioned Fender has messed with us with the MIM guitars. Certain models are top shelf, like the Baja Teles.
Yeah. I remember when the Mexican guitars were junk. I
remember when they first came out, they were good, and then they were bad, and they were when the initial thing was, it was literally came out, they're like, it's American guitar built in Mexico, all the same parts and everything. I'm like, all right, that's brilliant, because,
and then they started cheaping them out.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because as a Canadian, like, I have no iron in the fire for buy American. It doesn't matter to me. I'm paying a premium. Yeah, I'm buying a premium guitar, but if I can avoid paying labor essentially on a guitar, fine. But it's like, even now, when you look at the Mexican Ventura series versus the American Performer series, and the price difference is $100, and the American worker is getting paid more than the Mexican worker. So, like, what corners are being cut on the American build versus the superior Mexican build? I'm thinking.
Yeah, sometimes they're superior now. Yeah, because the labor is less.
Yeah.
Oh man. I wish I had a lot of money, because I would just be so buying right now.
I know, just doing shootouts, and
I know. I'm jealous of what you have there. I would take one of those amps. I would love to have, because I was talking to you about that before the show. I have that little PV Viper.
Right. Scott needs an amp, folks.
I need an amp really bad.
Especially to shoot pedal demos, you can't use a digital amp.
If someone's got a broken tube amp, an old combo or something, I'm in the market.
Live in the greater Idaho area, so shipping won't be a complete bitch. Or you can meet up even, or something. Or
to take the speaker out of it, and I have a cabinet. I have a Marshall 112 cabinet out in the garage. So I mean, if there's a head, yeah, I need a broken head. And since I live in Idaho, there's nothing like that. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at the offer ups and stuff in Seattle, and there's like, oh my God, there's a Basement 70 for $400. I would so go buy that. Basement 70 head. Or a friend of mine picked up a 68 Basement head for $400. And it's just like, it needs a cap job. I can do that in an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas some people, it's all where you live. Like
around
JP
here,
tells me, Scott.
Yeah,
he'll send me photos, because he goes, the used section in the Guitar Centers in Orange County, California. Come on, Southern California. There's such a dearth of gear there. He's like, oh yeah, this. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Ooh,
I mean, around here, it's like,
I've got a few broken Joyo mini heads.
Those are such a pain to fix, because they use proprietary parts. The tube stuff, the tube part is okay, but if the power amp is broken,
Brian says, Scott, find a Supro Blues King 12.
I just need anything. I
like I'm saying here, they're matching but not working. You're in another country, and
I'm in another, and they weigh a ton.
They weigh pretty good, and I want to get them both serviced, because I'm like, they're 30 watts, I think, Canadian made. I was like, that's my vintage stereo Canadian rig.
What are those anyway?
I have no idea. They're made by one's labeled a Rivera 725 by Pepco. The other one, the badge fell off. I think it was called a Rogue, and it just had a glued on metal faceplate on the.
Are they tube?
Yep.
Wow.
Early 70s.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, they look like Fender knockoffs. But that's the thing, though. There was like one company that would build under 8 names out of Montreal. Like there was Pepco, there was Ahead.
Where do they sell those at? Like Canadian Tire or something?
Who knows? You know, let me think. The Brentwood there, we'll label as a Brentwood. Who made that one? I think Ahead made that. That was sold through Woolworths in Canada. And it's an early solid state. I think it's got a 6-inch speaker and it's 4 watts. Yeah, 4 watts.
Nice.
Yeah, and you crank the volume, it's clean, but as you crank up the tone just acts like a gain.
So it starts sounding like a fuzz.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, plug it into a Marshall cabinet, it probably just screams.
Richie used that in my 67 Telly for a recording session. And in the room, you know, it sounded kind of assy. And the bass player is just fuming. He's like, what's the point of recording if that's what your lead tone's going to be? Until he threw it into the mix. And all of a sudden, he hands the headphones to the bass player. And he went, holy shit, that's Keith Richards.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't understand that. I've noticed that a lot too. When you're recording, if you find some of those.
That was another one, yeah.
If you find those recordings like a lot of guys use where they have all the tracks split and you turn down the bass and the vocals and all that, sometimes the guitar tone is just awful, like especially on like Led Zeppelin records and stuff. But in the mix,
Judas Priest.
Yeah. Judas Priest
God. Terrible.
Oh, especially in the late 70s. Oh, it's just awful. But man, in the mix, it sounds killer. You know, Black Sabbath too, the early Black Sabbath, just if you just listen, because there's tapes of that too, where it's just Tony, those Laney amps sound awful. You know? But
Michael B was asking, what day is the birthday stream? That is 1 week from tonight.
Oh, how young are you gonna be?
47.
47.
Yep.
So you're like a couple years younger than me. I'm gonna be 49 this year.
Let's see. Jim Cox says, Ben, let Scott know I'd play middleman. There we go. And ship an amp from Portland, Chalet to Eugene if he pays actual costs.
Just like the shipping? Oh, like middleman for buying something?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there we are. Okay.
Well, I can see I can buy something from Tommy, or I have a buddy up in Seattle too that could pick something up for me. It's just finding something.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. And like say, you would just assume, why not save the money and buy something that's broken?
Yeah. Well, I keep trying to find something local, but this is like farm country and everybody plays country here. So all I can find are like PV Deuces and stuff. And it's like, no. You know, I would love to find like a PV Butcher or something. That would be great. You know, one of the old ones. That would be great. But...
yeah, I would think, unless Tommy calls you, like, I got a guy that's got a broken amp in here, you know, type thing. Yeah. Pick it up.
I just have something that someone left here, you know, do you want it? You know, because people used to do that at my shop too. They would bring something in and go, I want to get this fixed. And I'd tell them how much it was going to be. And they would go, oh, I don't want to spend that much on it. You can just keep it.
What about a kit? My knees hurt says buy a kit.
I've been thinking about buying a Seriatone actually, because I like the 6v6 JCM 800 that they make, but I don't know if I want to do a kit because I don't really want to pay $400 for a kit.
Right.
When I can find an old Fender and
fix
it. Yeah.
And apparently today is Robot Master Switch's birthday. So happy birthday to Robot Master Switch.
Happy birthday, Robot.
John Justine says get the Ignator one, the Ignator kit.
Ignator. Yeah, no. Sorry.
There you go. Hey, I'm the same way with certain companies. They haven't come up, so I haven't had to have that kind of reaction.
I've had to repair Ignators. Yeah, no. He won't sell you parts. So there's a couple of amp companies
occasionally
like that.
Beaverton Pawn or USA Pawn down there have decent deals. If you drive out to Aloha, A Cut above Pawn had a decent selection of music stuff. There we go. Lawrence says Seriatone are good kits, but you can get them assembled by them for just a few hundred more.
Yeah, I was looking at the 2202, and I actually talked to Nick about it, and he's really cool, by the way. Yeah, I was gonna pick one of those up and have him put like the 50K Eddie Van Halen mid pod in it and a buffer.
Oh no, I think Robot Master Switch bought himself a Derek Small signature Schecter bass for his birthday.
Nice.
And because he loves me playing the glass saxophone, I shall play a tune for his birthday. Because why not? To quote Grumpy Mike Guitar, because why not?
Is Grumpy Mike here?
I haven't seen Grumpy Mike.
I haven't seen him with Grumpy Mike.
I saw him today. Where did I see him? Oh, China Mike's show. He was
Derek Smalls wrote this. Yeah, big bottom.
Just thinking the last gig I played was when I substituted in Richie's last band on bass. And for sound check, just to check signal. I was like, what? What the fuck can I play? I'm a bass player, right? So the only thing I thought of off the top of my head was big bottom. And Rich just looks over. Just kind of smirked. I'm like, it's the only bass line I know.
It's the only Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs.
Guitar Man 45, your daughter, she shares the same birthday as me, the 22nd.
Nice. Stonehenge. I gotta admit, I was a metal guy, so that was right up my alley. I got a Diffusion later.
Chris Baseman says 16K is a new used truck. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Used trucks are very expensive.
I wish I could drive. It's one of those things that I never learned how to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're that guy in the band.
I'm that guy in the band.
There's always one of those guys.
I was that. The drummer was always picking me up. Well, he was my best friend. So it was just like,
that's good. And I drove Richie to a lot of gigs. He didn't drive. And then when he finally got his license, I'm like, hey, guess what? Payback's a bitch. You're driving now.
You're driving.
Like, all right, fair enough. He was like totally cool because he's like, yeah, literally, you hold my ass. Even before I even played in bands with him, I drive him to gigs. So I was that guy because I'd be doing sound for him. So I already got the PA system. I'm like, fuck, you help me set up the PA system. The least I can do is give you a lift.
Well, I mean, he was the drummer and he was a journeyman. So he had a van. What do I need to drive for?
Yep.
I think he still does.
Says I'm that guy because I don't see well. True.
I don't see too hot either anymore. Well, see, the reason I never learned how to drive is I'm one-track minded. So I can't. I'm afraid to drive. I don't want to kill anybody because I'm so easily distracted. It just didn't ever click with me that I should do that. I'm thinking of other people. Yeah. I don't want to kill anybody or myself.
The van that you all will live in for 3 months. Exactly, Robot Master Switch.
We got to get in the van, man. Where are we? I don't know.
I can't remember the movie, but the movie there was a small time band out touring, and the leader of the band's like, so we decided we'll all sleep in the van tonight. We'll save money on a hotel room. And the girl in the band, she's like, I want to sleep in the van. It smells like drummer.
It smells like. Oh man, we slept in the van, dude. That stupid floor with oh man, that is nothing will get rid of that. No amount of cardboard. And it gets cold outside at night.
Yep. Brian Landreth has a question. Nice. I have a humbucker in the neck of my telly, and it's too dark. It needs a 500K pot, but wouldn't that make the bridge too bright? Yes.
Well, you can always add a bleed to the bridge. You can use a really like 100 picofarad cap to take the top edge off it.
Oh, yeah, true. My Mxr says plywood for a van floor or you're a fool.
Yeah, plywood. Huh, why didn't we think of that?
Yeah, because that's an natural insulator too.
Well, because I played bass in the band. So the bass player and the drummer.
Not exactly the Wonder Twins going on.
Yeah, we were Beavis and Butthead, like literally.
But being best friends with the bass player being best friends with the drummer, I bet you guys were a tight band.
Oh yeah, we were killer tight. Oh, yeah.
Like that's the perfect rhythm section. Like when you come across the bass player and drummer are brothers or best friends or something. As a guitar player, I'm like, like, yes, this is what I'm looking for. Exactly.
I got to get another bass too. Hopefully my arm heals up. My arm has been so messed up for months. I miss being able to play. I'm going crazy.
John Destain says you can wire your pot so the neck sees 500 and the bridge sees 250. Is that possible?
Yeah, with a resistor divider.
Well, there we are.
Yeah, you could do that.
This now we're getting into chicanery.
See, now I use 1 meg pots. You guys think your guitars are bright.
Are you using EMGs?
No, I have Duncan distortion and a custom, and I use 1 meg pots because I like bright sound like Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads. So I'm a Randy Rhoads guy.
Brian Landrum, instead of sleeping in the van, find an ugly woman to spend the night with.
Hey, we did that many a times too. You know, you get enough beers in you, that'll make anything look pretty after a while. Then you wake up and go, oh no. Oh, I gotta go now. You know.
Jason says I want to play out so bad. I get it.
I want to be able to play with people again. I want to be able to go to the music store again so bad.
Yeah, I just want to loiter in a music store.
Yeah, I want to go down the street to the music store that the guy that I know.
I want to do videos in a music store. I haven't shot a video in a music store since October of last year.
Yeah, that's a long time, man.
Yep.
It's like I just want
to window earlier this year because
I want to go buy something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to look at stuff. I want to touch things that aren't mine. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. So someone asks about a new guitar that comes out, I can actually say, yes, I put my hands on it, you know?
Yeah. Oh, man, there's some of the coolest new guitars have come out in the last year, too. And it's just like, I don't have thousands of dollars sitting around to call up Sweetwater. You know, that new black and chrome Telly with the Floyd on it. Oh, I want that so bad.
All I can say is thank the baby Jesus we don't have a Sweetwater type deal in Canada. You know, 0% financing on fucking payment. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I would be in trouble real fast.
I wish
if I can spread out those $10 a month payments for 3 years, over 10, because I'd have like 10 new items, so I'm still spending $100 a month.
Dude, I would have an amp and guitars and pedals and. Because I want there's so much of I have like $15,000 or $16,000 worth of stuff in 3 different lists in Sweetwater. It's like it's crazy, and that's just to start with. You know, It's just like I would love to.
She knows. She goes, "Oh yes, you would." I'm like, "Yep, I would."
I would too. My house would look like your backdrop. My house would look like.
I'd love to go to Texas, but traveling to Texas is not in the cards right now, unfortunately for me. Ooh, yeah, the new Mexican Telly with 1 P90 is sick. Brian later says, "Yeah, I'm kind of partial to Tellys with P90s."
You'll have to take a trip down to Arizona, man. You got so many friends down there.
I do have a few friends in Arizona. That's true. But I'm
Phil
not
and
really
Chris.
able to travel right now with the way Dad's doing health-wise. So.
Oh, yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. That's right. Randy Crooks recently got a Sterling Access. He loves it.
What's that?
Basically, it is the lower end version of the Music Man Access. Where's mine?
Okay.
Yeah. It's one of these, but the Sterling line.
Right. The EVH. Man, Music Mans are so underrated. They're killer guitars.
Yes, we do, sis. Can you imagine my sister and me doing a road trip?
Yes.
Well, it would help if she's one of those people. As she said, I'm that sister. She doesn't drive either.
She doesn't drive. Who's driving, eh? I don't know.
Wow, this thing's perfectly in tune. That's a rarity with me.
They're awesome guitars, man.
Yeah.
I want a Stingray bass so bad.
Oh.
Either that or a 4001. Those are my two favorite basses.
When I was recording our album with One Day to Live, our bass player was playing a shitty BC Rich Warlock because it was a lower end, active pickups that seemed more inactive than active. You know, just not a good sounding bass. Playing through a custom head. Sure, whatever. Wish he had just... So the bass sounded like ass. So our manager at the time took him up the street to Long McQuaid and rented a Music Man Stingray. And all of a sudden, I'm like, where's that tone band? He's like, holy crap. I'm like, you need to buy one of these. And then he never did. I left the band, and then we did a show together where their band was playing on the same bill as ours, and he had one of those basses. I was like, smart move.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
Hey, Caleb. Oh, they're great. Nerd Halen. How's Tom doing?
Jim Cox says saw Stingray 5 at a local pawn shop for $745. Nice.
That's not bad.
I was talking to Tom the other day. He was still not doing too well, but I haven't seen him around, so I hope he's doing well. He might be just lurking during the show, watching in the background. So if you're watching, Tom, we hope you're doing well.
Absolutely. Get better, Tom. We miss you. Anybody got any more questions?
I just got a boring old power supply this week. Not nearly as fun as New Guitar Day. Yeah, but power supplies allow you to play with a whole bunch of stuff at once. All right, see you, sis. Have a good night. And hello, Jay, 7/8.
Bye, Amanda. Yeah, I want a Voodoo Labs 3 power supply. I just have a one spot right now.
I used a one spot for years, and now I'm running 2 power supplies, a Donner, which I got from JJ when he sent me his old pedal board, which is like, an 8 or 10 out, whatever, your typical isolator. And
yeah, it's a clone of something else.
Another one I think is a Caline, which is basically the same thing, except it has 3 or 4 120 outlets along the top of it.
Neat.
So I actually have daisy chained my 2 power supplies on the pedal board, which is handy. And then that allows me to run up to like 16 pedals on my board.
I really like the K-Line stuff.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, like it works or it doesn't. Because I'm not spending. It's like, do you spend $50 or $500?
I like their pedals. They're killer value. I like the Joyo stuff too.
Yep.
So a lot of people say that they're not built well, and it's like, man, have you played with some of the stuff from the 70s? It is bad, like real bad.
You ever own a car from the 70s?
Yeah, it's like
Dodgers didn't start on rainy days for a few years, and that was one of those things. Oh well, we got to let the points dry out. Really, there's a rattle inside the door because there's a pop can inside the door from the factory. Yeah, great.
I think that's probably...
LPD says one spots are deceptively good, super quiet, regulated, and provide A1 or 1 amp of current.
Yeah, the Seahawks are pretty good.
Bruce says, I use batteries in my pedals. Am I wrong? Jake Ely likes batteries in his pedals. What's his name? Eric Johnson likes batteries in his pedals.
I like batteries in...
Lawrence does not like batteries in his pedals. How do I know? Because he doesn't put a battery clip in any of his pedals, regardless of form factor size. It's like,
I like
nope,
batteries.
nope.
I like batteries in my fuzz pedals and
Nice.
my phase 90. It does sound different.
I would like one Lawrence Overdrive with a battery in it so I can use it as my dirty pedal going to music stores to do guitar demos. Just saying. Just one. It's a one-off. That'll be the secret circuit. It's got a battery clip inside.
Is it a Voodoo 3, Brian? I want the new one. It's super quiet.
Yes, Brian does like trading. As we all do. Nothing
I like
wrong with
trading.
trade.
We did a trade.
Yep, we did a trade. I was thinking that. Did I get my DS2 from you?
Yeah.
Yes, freaking got it right. Because remember, I did a few trades all at once there, and I'm like,
which one did I get from Scott? Well, you made the unboxing video that everybody loved. So with that pedal, with your niece.
Okay. Well, I did a few with her. I was just wondering. Yes, I remember that. Yes. Yes, she was all excited to try it out too.
She was all excited. I even had my mom watch that. My mom was like, "Oh, she's precious."
It was the other day. She was wrapping up school. I think were both nieces over. I think, and wrapping up school or something for the day. So I came down here. I started noodling, and I had to have played 2 minutes. And next thing there's a person standing just over here. What you doing? Just sitting there because she knows this isn't a playroom, And it's like, oh, that's nice. Oh, okay.
I look at
try that pedal out, or what are you doing? Are you trying a new guitar, new pedal? Like, what's new? What came in? Is there anything to unbox? I get asked that a lot. Anything to unbox? No, nothing today. Sorry. So
I can't wait,
folks. If you do send gear in or something to get demoed, I'll get her to unbox it. Yeah, I'm shameless.
I can't wait to send you something to demo. I got a fuzz. Are you into fuzz? Do you like fuzz? You don't like fuzz? Okay.
I'm not much of a fuzz guy. I like what I like.
Overdrives?
I can't get enough overdrives.
Okay, we'll do an overdrive then.
Which is funny because, like, if somebody owns 10 pedals, 7 of them are dirt boxes.
Yeah. Well,
it's just the way it is. So, like, I came to accept it a long time ago. I like playing. One of my favorite things is leaving an open spot on my board, and I'll just grab a random different pedal every time to stick in there because it's like new guitar day every time, or something.
Yeah.
Well, let's play with something different. The other day, I grabbed my SD1 because I hadn't played the SD1 in 6 months.
I just bought one. I found an old one.
Oh, nice.
I got it for $40. It's made in Japan.
I actually bought mine used at Long and McQuaid last year. Funny enough, because they had I noticed they had 3 new ones and 4 used ones. There was a lot of yellow in the case. And the used ones were all priced slightly different. And I asked why. And
no, Brian, no.
And I'm like, why are they all priced different? He goes, well, it's based on what we pay for them when we get them in. And I know they don't negotiate on price on new gear. But it turns out they will negotiate on used gear, which was, it's a little secret about the company. And so what the deal is, they can't negotiate, but you can make an offer. And the way it worked was they just put the offer in the machine and it's a go, no go based off what in the inventory, what they paid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked and there was one SD1 that was cheaper than all the other ones. And then I'm like, all right, I'm pretty sure I knew what their markup was on what they pay versus markup because they advertised, we pay more for used gear than anyone else. We paid this much of retail on the floor. So I put in a number. I think because I think it was priced at 65 Canadian. I'm like, I'll give you 42. Sold. Done.
Nice.
And then with tax, it was 47 and change with tax. I was like, perfect. I got an SD1 in the collection. Sure, it's the newest made in China one, whatever, but it's still going to be in the family.
Next time you're on the Jungle website, get yourself one of these.
Ooh, what's that?
It's the K-Line Orange Burst.
Oh,
this thing is killer. And it's cheap.
I noticed pedals are going up on the Jungle website.
They are. See, that's why I buy them from these people I buy them on eBay because there's resellers in Canada and they sell them for dirt cheap. So I've been buying them, like 6 at a time from them. So it's like if you have any questions like about which K-Line pedals you might want to pick up, talk to me. I'll let you know. They make some amazing overdrives.
Lawrence traded I traded one of my modded SD1s for a pristine 1983 TS9. Dude was super happy with the trade as the SD1 was what he wanted and the TS9 is still a favorite of his. Yeah, win-win.
But that's win-win. Yeah, TS9 is a classic, man. They're really gone up in value now. Even the TS10, even the TS5, the metal ones, the metal TS5s. Yep. Wow, they're almost $200 now. That's for the sound tank. I saw TS10s sold for $600 plus.
Speaking of which, I do have a Tube Screamer-esque pedal demo coming out soon. Nice. It's a really nice interpretation. It's a Tube Screamer and 808 in the same pedal, so with the toggle. Good. So
I have a couple of those.
Yeah, this one's a nice one apparently. So and I like it because for once it's got next to no gain, which is the one Tube Screamer I owned way back in the day was damn near a clean boost. Like it did not break up it didn't break up my Vibrolux at all. So that what I always found is most Tube Screamers have way too much gain.
Yeah.
From what I remember. And this one I was like, holy crap, it's one of those. Yes, this is going to be fun to demo. It reminds me a lot of my Nice Drive A in a lot of ways.
That's my thing with overdrives. I like them to be loud and not have that much grit. I don't want a distortion pedal.
Yeah.
I want an overdrive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's differences, right?
Yeah. To me, an overdrive just has a minimum to like almost mid amount of dirt, but is really loud so I can push my amp with it and has tone shaping,
Yeah, like basically you want it that when you turn the gain on it to 3 o'clock, you're getting into AC/DC territory, which is not very much gain to play AC/DC. Most people play AC/DC with too much gain.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to turn that volume control up and step on it and have
your preamp.
Yeah, and have, Eddie Van Halen lead tone. So that's what I use them for. I always like to goose my amp with overdrives. I think people tend to use them wrong and always are
goosing my overdrives with other overdrives.
Yeah, I like to stack them too. Oh man, I really want that Wampler, the bell. I really want one of those.
Like my 87s at the end. That's my last dirt pedal in the chain because I want to push the 87.
Yeah, you want to push the 87.
Oh, that's because it just reacts like an amp. I don't understand. Lawrence, we know you made a deal with the devil or aliens. Aliens. Come to think of it, it's probably aliens technology. But I don't know how it works, but that Brian, the TL pedals Honker Overdrive is sick too. Because it's a nice Tube Screamer type circuit. But what is it, like 10 times the amount of gain on tap? Which is a whole different fun ball wax.
The SD9 is more of a distortion pedal. It's a hard clipper instead of a soft clipper. But it's basically a TS808 or TS9, but it's a hard clipper instead of a soft clipper. So it's more of a distortion pedal. And they sound great too. They're one of my favorite distortion pedals. Uh-oh, Ben's getting something off the shelf. What do you got, Ben?
That's the Honker Overdrive.
Oh, yeah, I've seen you shown that.
Yeah, so that's
like a couple weeks ago you were showing that.
Yeah, so these are, made in Canada. He's like a Canadian Lawrence, so he's 1/10 the size of Lawrence, like Canada, 1/10 the size of the U.S. And physical as well. It's crazy. The guy's really that big. I don't know. Just kidding. But yeah, that's cool. And I think I put out the demo about a year ago on it. I love it. That's why it stays up here. It's not over there or in a box as Scott saw earlier, there's 2 shelves of boxes of pedals in boxes.
Well, I showed you my table over there.
I don't play with them.
They're stacked 3 thick. Yeah.
If I play with them, then
they're close by. Yeah, like I have this close by. I love this pedal. I'm so happy that you traded it.
I have this close by. I can't say what it is.
Can't say what it is, but I bet it's an LPD. I can tell by the knobs.
Yeah. It'll be out at the end of July.
Nice.
Johnny asks, question for you guys. Nice. Yeah, we're getting close to the 2-hour mark, so we'll take a few more questions here. Question for you guys. Any opinions on Keeley pedals? Yep.
Sure. Robert?
Yep. I have opinions. I got a Keeley compressor on my board.
Robert's, he's been in this game since the late 90s that I remember. I remember seeing stuff from him back then before he started his company, and he makes really good stuff. It's very solid and well designed. There's some other pedal companies that are pretty popular.
Yeah, he's got a few what the hell is it? Because Sean Pierce Johnson did a signature version of for Stompbox Saturday. Fuzzbender. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice fuzz.
I like his Monterey. I like that one.
Monterey's nice. Tesi says Keeley Comp is the best-selling compressor. Yeah, it's like the ultimate goal, I got to think, for any product is become what they call an industry standard.
Yeah, yeah.
And, the Keeley compressor, we talked about near the top of the show. The Mxr carbon copy, that's an industry standard.
Yeah.
At this point. That's got to be one of the best-selling analog delays since it's been out.
I really like the Dynacomp too. That was a mainstay on my board for years.
Yep.
And I like Analog Man's Orange Squeezer based one too.
My original compressor I ran was Boss CS2, Made in Japan CS2.
Made in Japan CS2, yeah. My boss used one of those. My guy that used to run our shop used one. And yeah, he really likes the CS2.
Brian Lander says Robert Keeley yelled at me. Love him. Nice. Hey, James Pava.
I got Henning Pauly to yell at me. So
I licked Henning Pauly once.
Oh no.
Yep. Well, I figured that was the vaccine for Namthrax, just because Henning licks and kisses everything.
Now you have Quentin James cooties.
What, dude?
Where is Quentin anyway?
Oh, he's probably asleep, or he could be a ghetto Kroger. That's true.
Yeah. He's getting ketchup.
Yeah, I'm loving this pedal talk tonight. I was thinking tonight, I was looking at the sheer volume of Boss pedals. Well, you can't see them because they're behind my head. No, where are they?
I consider you a Boss pedal collector.
I came to that conclusion. You know what? I guess I kind of have to be at this point. I didn't ask to be. I fell into more Boss pedals than I seeked in life.
And they sound so good, you just can't let them go.
Well, they're all different. They're colorful, and they look good on display. Like, literally, the only Boss pedals I seeked out was my DD3, because I needed a digital delay.
Mm-hmm.
And a DD3 is cheap, industry standard, again.
And indestructible.
I got my Boss CE2 back in high school. It was a chorus pedal. Sure, it was the chorus pedal, but I didn't know. I got in a deal.
It's a classic.
This is nice. I like it. That became my chorus pedal for the last 30 years. Let's see, the Boss Power Supply came in the same deal as the chorus. Along with, I used to have the DF2 distortion feedbacker, which I lent to somebody, and then he lost it or something.
Oh, no.
I have the box for it, so I'm still... At some point, I'm going to have to buy a DF2 just because I have a damn box for one. I figure that's a good excuse.
If I see one locally really cheap, I'll pick it up for you.
Awesome. Yeah, but that's the thing. But I don't want to spend much, right? Because the DF2 is basically the DS1 circuit, which is basically the DS2. Like, I already got that circuit out the wazoo. I don't have a DS1, but I think they still are rolling like $60 Canadian new. So what's,
Do you have the turbo overdrive?
Do I have the turbo overdrive? I do have a turbo overdrive.
Nice. I'm looking for one of those too.
That one, is that the one I got from Steve McFall last year in a trade? He wanted, what the hell did he want? A looper. So I traded my Outlaw looper pedal for that. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I really want a looper. I'm like, all right, these things are cheap, right? Because Outlaw is like a K-line, like anything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's like an older one too, I think.
I love finding the through-hole ones.
Made in Taiwan. Wow.
Does it use the ACA or APA?
Oh, the ACA.
Nice. Man, that one's that's
I remember you told me, he's like, do you have a Boss power supply? I'm like, I do, but I don't think it's worked since 1992. He's like, yeah, just run off battery, dude. I'm like, yeah, all right.
There's a super simple mod that you can do. You just take 2 parts out and it'll work.
Yeah, I think Lawrence had mentioned that, and yeah, you may have mentioned that to me as well. Because I think I already shot the demo on this. I got a Boss Super Chorus because I was flipping pedals on Kijiji, as I do. The guy offered it in trade. I'm like, I don't own one. So it's not like I was looking for it. Got it in trade. I have the Overdrive Distortion, the OS2.
OS2.
Which was ironically found at the father's house of the kid who lost my distortion feedback 10, 15 years ago. So it was a different pedal that he happened to find in the same house. So I'm like, well, whatever, karma. It's not the same pedal, but then he put it up on Facebook, tagged me and Richie in it. He's like, whoever wants it first, boom.
And
by the time Richie had answered it, I had already answered him and was halfway to Trenton to pick it up.
Do you have an OD1?
Do I have an OD1? No.
OD3?
No. Let's see, what else do I have? I got the Mega Distortion, the MD2.
Mm-hmm.
That was given to me by a guy I worked with in the military.
Blues Driver?
Of course, I got the Modded Metal Zone, which I got from Steve McFall, which is same guy got this off. He did a tri-gain mod on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I usually do the cap mod on those.
I did seek out the Boss Flanger because I always wanted a Boss Flanger.
BF2?
Yeah. Saw that in a pawn shop, and I'm just like, yeah, throw that in.
Blues Driver?
Don't have a Blues Driver.
Ooh,
I've got a couple
driver.
Little, Jungle website Blues Driver clones, but it was funny. I tried the Wazacraft Blues Driver at Long McQuaid. Didn't like it.
You didn't like it? Was it too bright for you?
I don't know what it was. I was just like, no. Like, he handed me that. And is there a Wazacraft SD1 as well?
There's a Waza, one of the overdrives, there's a Waza version of it.
Okay, yeah, because he handed me the Blues Driver and that, and I think they're both Wazas. And I'm like, and I'm toggling because I only needed one dirty tone because I was demoing guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, these all kind of sound like ass. And it was funny because the guy, he means so well. It's like my one buddy that works there, that he set up a whole area basically for me to be able to do demos. So I'm playing through a Marshall half stack. All right, sure.
Sure.
One of those, the new JCM mini heads.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, through a 412. Sure.
Oh,
perfect.
man, I would love to have one of those.
I'm playing like this in front of the camera. There's a 412 right off camera pointed across that way, so it doesn't totally wash.
You're going like this every time you play a chord. Yeah.
No, I'm not. Yeah. The rest of the people in the store knew whenever I was shooting a demo because I'm all talking loud.
Turn that down. Turn down that noisy music.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was looking for a decent, and then he would apologize. I'm sorry we don't have any cool pedals here. I'd look, and they carry a lot of brands. So I'm like, no, I'll take one of those. I'm like, no, I don't want to play through the Marshall. I'll play through a Princeton today, and I'll use, I think I grabbed a JHS, something or other, just something to break it up. I was like, perfect. That's all I need. Lauren said yes to something.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
I still got to shoot a demo on the Boss Super Chorus. I know that. Actually, I don't know if I ever shot a demo on my TC Electronics Third Dimension either.
I can see a few things that you haven't shot demos with yet. You just that's the thing about me being a musician. Things just come to you, and you're just like, okay,
Hey, but
yeah, sure. You know, okay, I'll put that over here. I guess I'll do something with that.
Oh, okay. Lawrence says yes, there is a Waza SD1.
Ah, yes, Waza. Okay.
Okay. Bethalco says, oh, yeah, good to see Bethalco in here. Awesome. Steve's Music here in Ottawa just started carrying JHS. Tempted to try the Morning Glory. I need a Blues Breaker style stomp box. Here we are. Nice.
Danielson. I'm looking at the chat.
David says, I was talked into buying 2 pedals instead of 1 my first day. Bought an Ibanez Soundtrack 60s Fuzz and a Sound Tank Phaser.
Man, the Sound Tank 60s Fuzz is a great pedal.
Nice.
Those are worth a lot now. Especially if you have one of the ones, the original ones that was... The original Sound Tanks are metal. They're not plastic. I have a CM5. Those are the ones. They're great.
You know, another line I'm thinking about, but dang it, they just shot up in value. Was collecting this line.
Yeah, all the 7 series.
Yeah.
That's because Jay just did a video on them.
You know what? You could buy the Phaser for $60 a year and a half ago. Now it's $160.
Yep. Every time he does a video on something, it's like, man, can you hold off for a while until I rebuild my collection before you do videos on this?
It's like, shut the hell up, Josh. Jeez. Yeah, and this one, the Smashbox, I've put off doing a demo. It's a very heavy metal-esque.
Yeah,
it's got a unique tone stack that none of my other pedals have, and I really dig. It reminds me of Metallica, but it's not Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
Like Master of Puppetsy type stuff. At one point, I remember that, and I'm hoping it's where it's set, because that would rule. But there's so much. There's the off and the 1 and the 2 labeled void, whatever the hell that means. And then you got for edge, a sharp, and a smooth. It's going to be a 15-minute demo. And so I've been putting it off because I'm lazy. This chorus flanger, I will probably never demo because it sounds like ass. I can't get a usable tone out of it at any point. I'm like, well, maybe at one point, and I don't want to again, you got a chorus mode, a flanger mode, a normal mode, and a whacked mode, whatever the fuck that is, labeled crazy with a K. There's 4 knobs, 2 outputs. Like, we're talking a 25-minute video for like 2 minutes of good tone. So
the tone stand will get a workout.
Fucking right it will. My ears will get a workout. Yeah. The highs. That's the other thing. Yeah. When I get into the upper reaches of the tone, that's when you regret not doing the whole computer interface for pedal demos, like RJ and those guys. Yeah. As opposed to playing with a live amp right behind your head.
Well,
loud.
That's something that's going to come your way. Then you're going to get an aux or something, and then you won't be blowing your ears out, and you won't be bugging Dad. You know.
Yeah. True. Yeah. So I think I again fell into one or both. I don't know. They were cheap. I remember that. I remember we went to a guitar show in a very small town, and the guitar show was literally in a building that had 2 curling sheets. So if you know the dimensions of a curling rink, which is not, it's long and narrow.
We don't have those here.
All right,
I have no idea.
Holding it on 2 lanes of a bowling alley.
Okay.
Maybe 3 lanes of a bowling alley kind of thing, situation. So it's a long, narrow show, to say the least. And there was like a handful of people that had some cool stuff, very high end, whatever.
Boutique stuff.
A lot of junk, whatever. And we do a lap. I did another lap, did a third lap. We left, but in between, we're going outside. Richie's having a smoke. I'm having a vape. We're talking. What he doesn't realize is I'm picking up gear every lap. So by the time we leave, I think I walked out of there with 3 or 4 pedals. But I'm wearing like, middle-aged white guy shorts. So with cargo pockets and everything. So I'm literally pulling pedals out of all my pockets. And I think I had 1 in my hand, maybe 2 in my hand. No, probably 1. That's right, because I would have my vape in my other hand. And he's just like, where? How? When? What? I'm like, so, well, I saw stuff.
What? Where?
Any pedal that's something, whatever it is, like this.
Yeah.
If it's priced at $50 or less, I'm interested.
Oh, yeah.
And that's 50 Canadian, so say $40 US. I don't know what it is, but it's got to be worth 50 US.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make $10.
I'll pick up anything for $50 or less. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it works or not. I'll buy it for that.
Lawrence, enjoy the prototype.
See you later, Lawrence. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Bethalko says, reach out to the Rev boys. I've talked to Rev several times. They're really friendly at the NAMM shows. Won't return an email once you get home.
Yeah, that's just the way some of them are.
Or Terry put it much nicer. Ben has in the past. But we're 2 hours in. Rev's not watching it 2 hours in.
We're having fun. We get to talk about these. I love these. These are my things.
That's right.
This was my first pedal that I ever bought.
Nice.
I still have it. That's why it's my avatar.
Let me think. Yeah, the first pedals I got, I think, was the chorus, the distortion feedbacker, and the power supply in a deal. But when I got my first electric guitar, which tells me, yes, I think I got pedals before I got my first guitar. That really explains a lot, Scott. Holy shit. I never thought of that. I actually owned pedals before I owned a guitar.
I played a stick. I took a stick and I drew frets on it. I wanted a guitar so bad.
I started out playing bass. Didn't use the effects on the bass, but then gave up bass, switched to guitar. Dad said, use my gear till you get your own gear. I'm like, perfect. You might as well. They're just sitting in cases. So I started playing his telly, his amp, which was a Vibraprint with no gain, just a master volume. So clean. Sucked.
Till you crank it all the way up.
When you're in grade 9 and just want to play AC/DC riffs. Yeah, no. Even at stage volume, clean as a bell.
Really?
Like,
wow.
Yeah, like unless you put out.
Oh, that's right. Cut Telecaster into it. That's why.
Yeah. So yeah, loud. So I got some pedals, and that's when I got the Boss pedals. And then when I bought my first electric guitar, I bought a guitar, amp, and 2 pedals, which was the pedals being a second Boss CE2 because they were a dime a dozen in the late 80s. And an original, I'm pretty sure, one of the original Distortion Pluses. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, wouldn't have been original because it wasn't script.
It was a block logo.
Block, but no LED. Does that make sense?
Was it mustard color or yellow?
I think it was lighter color.
Lighter colored, maybe. Was the finish smooth or did it have a texture?
Oh, I think it was smooth.
Smooth, then it was a original MXR. Yeah.
Yeah, block letter, but no LED.
And no power jack.
Nope. And I think I sold it for $50 Canadian in 1990.
And now it's worth $200.
Yeah. Which, even with inflation, I probably still sold for like $100 nowadays. But MXR was out of business at that point, so nobody knew who MXR was.
Yeah.
It was valued to me for $30 because I think that's what they were going for in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was a bit of a jerk to me, so I charged him $50 because I said, well, that's what Randy Rhoads used. He's like,
yeah.
Oh, boom. So I thought that sounded like ass because
Randy Rhoads' entire pedal board was almost MXR.
A Distortion Plus into a clean Vibralux, no bueno.
Yeah.
It's not a pleasant sound. It needs to push a Marshall.
Yeah, it needs to push a Marshall or some other British amp. Oh, yeah, man. Let's talk about Randy Rhoads. Randy Rhoads' pedal board. Roland FV2 volume pedal, distortion plus, 10-band EQ, all MXR, MXR chorus, MXR flanger, and he would put the wah pedal last because he used it more as a filter instead of a wah-wah thing. You can hear it like on SATO where he uses it as a sweep filter. And then he had sometimes he used it. I've seen him use a space. I've seen pictures of him using a space echo. But sometimes he had like one of those Akai ones that have the rotating disc inside.
Okay.
I've seen that in one photo too. It's like, I'm a Randy Rhoads nut. Randy Rhoads is the reason I play guitar. In 1982, I flipped on MTV and they were talking about Randy Rhoads' death. And I was like, well, who's Randy Rhoads? So I went to the store, and like one of the first albums that I bought was Diary of a Madman. Like the first record I ever bought was Metal Health. And I didn't know that was Randy Rhoads' band before Ozzy. And I bought that Ozzy record and I took it home and it just blew my mind. Like my hair stood on end, like on my arms and on the back of my neck. And I was just like, wow. And then this is amazing. I love this guy, and I'm like, so I went back to the record store and I'm like, is there anything more? Yeah, there's Blizzard of Oz. Well, what's he doing now? He's dead, man. And it just broke my heart, because I didn't know he was dead.
Right.
And I was just like, oh, you're kidding me. I found something finally that just made me feel so good to listen to.
Sure.
And then I started getting into other stuff. I remember being, like, what was the first albums you bought? I can remember the first album I bought was Brain Salad Surgery from Emerson, Lake and Palmer when I was like 9.
First
I had an 8-track of it.
Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Really?
Yep. Me and everybody else.
Yeah, I mean.
And then, you get your first Walkman. You get into the world of cassettes.
Mm-hmm.
I think my first 2 cassettes was Born in the USA album and the Purple Rain soundtrack.
I had the Purple
and
Rain
then
soundtrack.
when I got into hard rock, then it was literally, I know 2 albums everybody I knew had, which was Twisted Sister, Stay Hungry.
Yeah.
And Motley Crue's Theater of Pain.
It was Shout at the Devil for me. That was the
because
one
you were 2 years older.
Yeah, I was 2 years older.
So famous, like you had said, Metal Health, right?
Yeah, Metal Health was like
that was
Metal Health,
because that was the album. If anybody had an older brother, that was the album they were given to, because like for a first album to start on, like say Metal Health, boom, there you go, because it was all over the radio.
Yep.
Well, and
before that, it was Cheap Trick for me, and I liked Kiss. When I was younger, I liked Kiss, and I loved Cheap Trick. I don't know why I still love Cheap Trick.
Sure, great
band. But when Metal Health came out, I was like, "What is this? I like this." That was when I really got into it. And like, my parents were separated, and my dad was living with somebody else, and her kids turned me on to stuff. Cause like one of her sons was like really into AC/DC. So we ended up going to the record store one day and I bought, like Back in Black and the Slade album that had Run Away on it. Cause that was in heavy rotation on MTV. Cause I really liked that. I bought
as well.
And I bought Holy Diver from Dio. Don't you miss going to the record store and you could just thumb through the albums and you would just buy stuff by the album cover.
Oh yeah.
Like you'd never heard it or didn't know what it was, but you just like the look.
I remember I had borrowed the Who Made Who soundtrack from, that's how I discovered AC/DC, was borrowing the Who Made Who soundtrack, not knowing, like I knew it was a soundtrack. So I was like, oh, okay. And, I was like, wow, I dig these guys. So I went out and I had enough money to buy 2 AC/DC albums. Ironically enough, I bought High Voltage and Back in Black. So the start of 2 journeys of a band, essentially. Yep. And I
bought TNT in Black in Black.
Yeah.
Because I really liked TNT.
The same album as TNT.
Yeah.
in Canada.
Somebody, somebody was mentioning Double Platinum from Kiss. Yeah, that was one of the first records I had too.
That
And
was
Cat
one of my
Scratch
first-
Fever.
Yeah, I
from
got
Ted
Double
Nugent.
Platinum in a trade. I remember that. Yeah, that was one of my first. Same as Metal Health, got that in a trade right away. Because, my God, Quiet Riot was everywhere. Like they were on, Much Music or MTV for You. Various other networks would have a weekly video show or even a daily video show.
Night Flight. You remember Night Flight?
Yeah, all those shows. Quiet Riot all over because they got into the music video thing right away and did it well. And like I remember even like was it like the TV show Solid Gold?
Mm-hmm.
Also Quiet Riot's on. You're like, all right,
what?
Sure. Like
didn't they have them on American Bandstand too?
Exactly, American Bandstand. I wouldn't doubt if they were on fucking Star Search.
They probably were.
Because those guys would play the opening of a door, but they had management that was just like saturating the award show, whatever. They were seen everywhere, very high visibility. They were marketed brilliantly.
Yep, they were. And then like that just opened the floodgates for everybody else. I remember like, wow, there's this new stuff. There's Motley Crue and Twisted Sister and Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. And I was I didn't have enough money to buy all the albums that I wanted,
Yeah, between the more I think of it, between like the Metal Health album and 1980 Van Halen's 1984, and Pyromania. Really,
Pyromania.
Great selling album, don't get me wrong, but it didn't have the video. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Metal Health, Come On Feel the Noise, those back-to-back videos. So that means Quiet Riot and heavy rotation for months on end.
Yep.
Then Van Halen with Jump and Panama.
Oh yeah, 1984 was.
Yeah, like so they just moved that needle to the harder stuff. That then all of a sudden a year later, when Theater of Pain's coming out and Stay Hungry, they were right behind to take full advantage. Yeah, and like Stay Hungry, we know it was the two music videos as much as anything else that put them on the map because it was just brilliant. Again, brilliant.
And I was a little older, so I like ended up with the one of the music. No, it wasn't Music for Nations. It was a compilation album, and it had Metallica on it. The last song was "Hit the Lights."
Oh,
and I was like, "Wow, what is this?" And I remember going to the record store one day in '85. And I was like, I really like this band Metallica. Do you guys have anything from them or anything like it? And they were like, oh, yeah. And there was a guy there who worked at the music store who was in one of the local metal bands. And he was in a heavier metal band. And he's like, dude, you want this. So that day, I went home with Killing Is My Business from Megadeth, nice. Kill 'Em All from Metallica, Rain in Blood from Slayer, and Stormtroopers of Death. Those that was like the best day I had ever gone to.
You're basically pulling off the holy trinity of thrash right there in one day. So
yeah, well, the holy quad, except for SOD, is part Anthrax and part MOD, right? So and part Nuclear Assault. So basically the same thing. And I went home and I put those records on, and my friends were coming over. They're going, "What is that?" The other people in the apartment complex. I had it cranked and the window was open, and man, I even had the older kids coming over going, "What the hell are you listening to, man? That sounds killer. What is that?" Man, that was. And I'm a redhead and I'm overweight. Nobody liked me. Until that day. And then I was cool.
I still remember the first time I'd heard of Metallica, took a chance, bought Kill 'Em All, went home, put it on, listened to it front to back once, and the whole time I'm going, where's the beat? Like, it was just too fast. Like, it sounded like it was on fast. You might as well have been played on fast forward. I had no sense of rhythm. Like, I was, because you say I'm an AC/DC guy. Like, who made who? Just boom, 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 boom. That's it. Mm-hmm. I was like, what the hell is this? Put it away.
It might have been 86.
Got into some other stuff.
I can't remember. So
I think, I know, because my cousin showed up with Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
Slower album. you know, and I was like, wow, you know, this is really, I'm like, fuck, I got a Metallica album. Went back. Well, just by listening to Master of Puppets, basically got you up to speed enough to be able to go back to Kill 'Em All and went, okay, I find the beat now. You know, and then I got into Crash. But it was such a, hey, Jasco.
That was just everything in high school to me, because I, you know, 87 to 91, you know, it was all about thrash, you know, and then I got out of high school and then the grunge thing started, you know, but I liked Soundgarden because they were a local band to me. You know, all those bands were local to me because I'm from Seattle. Yeah, I thought Soundgarden was a great band. I had their demo tapes and stuff.
I got into them early. Yeah, I remember it was, well, early. Loud Love, that video got some play in Canada. And by that time, I knew some older guy, you know, from working at my parents' restaurant that were like 3 years older than me. Perfect. So they knew all about all that crap, you know, because they knew about Seattle before Seattle broke, you know, because like literally I'd go over there and I'd go through their entire record collection, and out of 50 plus albums, there might have been one Slayer album and a Suicidal Tendencies album. And the rest, I didn't know, like, and I'd ever ask, I'm like, well, who's this band? They're like, well, they sound like Sebadoh. I'm like, who the fuck is Sebadoh? In 1991.
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, well, like Doughboys. I'm like, who's the Doughboys? All right, found out later. They're like Canadian Sebadoh in many ways. So it's not much of a comparison. You know, only they had a Ramones album. I've heard of the Ramones.
I remember buying Accused records and Forced Entry. If you guys like metal, that like the Big Four, check out Forced Entry. They put out 2 albums, and they're just killer records. Yeah. Check them out. And there was other local bands, you know, like Grunt Truck and Mudhoney, and
I actually saw Grunt Truck live, sir. You are the first person to ever bring up Grunt Truck on this channel, because I don't even think I mentioned them.
Grunt Truck was a great band.
I got and their entire career was surmised in a clipping the size that would fit on the back of that on a Guitar World on an album review. You know, where they would do the independent album reviews and stuff every month in Guitar World. Because somebody brought up Alice in Chains. The first rock concert I ever went to was Alice in Chains at the Concert Hall in Toronto. So general admission, 1,200 seat, 1,500 seat venue. Grunt Truck was the opener, with Screaming Trees as direct support, and Alice in Chains. So it was Alice in Chains' first headlining gig, and it was labeled as a Seattle night. Mm-hmm. It shows right there, because Seattle known as grunge. Alice in Chains isn't fucking grunge.
Alice in Chains isn't grunge. Soundgarden isn't grunge either.
Soundgarden is not grunge. All the famous grunge bands aren't really, well, Nirvana
is grunge, and Pearl Jam is grunge.
Even Pearl Jam, I have, because they're more
of a rock band.
Yeah.
You know? And they were from Spokane. They weren't even from Seattle.
And Eddie Vedder's from San Diego.
Yeah. It's just like, well, I mean, a lot of those bands were from California even. Some of them.
Yeah. And so, in that
Rhino Humpers.
Grunt Truck, great. They did a great set. Screaming Trees bailed because their singer's voice was off. Who fucking cares? And then Alice in Chains were just fucking awesome, but so fucking loud to the point where I'm like, oh, Lane is a guy that just eats the mic and I can't understand what he's singing because he's overpowering the mic, until I plugged my ears and then I understood him clear as a bell. I'm like, oh, they're that fucking loud. Because they brought the arena PA into the club type environment.
Oh, man. And people don't talk about the punk scene in Seattle and Portland, too, man. That was huge. Poison Idea and Aspirin Feast. And, man, there were so many good bands. It was crazy. Like, you know, people always talk about California and the Bay Area and all the bands that came out of there. There were so many bands that were in Seattle that were just killer, and they deserved record contracts, and they never got them.
Meanwhile, it was like
they're high. You know, they're signing
Nickelback down the streets, handing out record contracts.
Yeah, well, it quickly changed into signing bands like Nickelback and you know, God, what was that other? I can't remember the other band that was really big at the time. it was just like corporate. It started getting really corporate. You know what I mean?
Real
fast, real corporate and real fast. And
dude,
I was just like, I don't like
I
any
knew
of this.
that scene, and I hate to say it was because I was able to like say Soundgarden, Loud Love. I became a fan, right?
Yeah.
By the time I got to go, there was always a huge concert at the CNE each year, the Canadian National Exhibition. Okay, big, the biggest state fair, but nationwide, right? And so Neil Young holds a concert on opening day every year because why not? Neil's Neil. 1993, he had been labeled the godfather of grunge. So he put together a bill of basically unknown band, the Blues Traveler, opening the show. Nobody had heard of him.
Nobody had heard of him at the time. Great band. Awesome harmonica player.
Then Soundgarden came out because they're touring Bad Motorfinger. So basically you heard the Bad Motorfinger album. Awesome. Then Pearl Jam came out. They were still touring 10. Maybe the second album had just come out, but basically it was the 10 set. So
had Super Unknown come out yet?
No,
I think so.
Baby Jesus. That's what I'm getting to. So then Neil headlines with Neil Young backed up by Booker T and the MGs because why not? Which is awesome. Great show. Chris was amazing. Chris Cornell just at that time. I think they played Jesus Christ Pose twice because at that time they were not allowed to perform it in America. Ironically enough. So they played it twice because why not? It's one of the reasons they love playing Canada. So it was great set. Fast forward a few months, Super Unknown drops, and their first single is Black Hole Sun.
Yeah.
Right? Chris has short hair. And dude, they lost me as a fan for like 2 years from that.
Really?
Single.
That's my favorite Soundgarden song.
I fucking hated Black Hole Sun.
Really?
Like the first time I hear that opening chorusy, I'm like, nope.
No, see, now I hated Rusty Cage. I hated that song. I don't know why. I mean,
Outshine,
I was always a big fan of Kim Fail too.
Pose. And that's what the thing. Like I was coming off Outshine and Jesus Christ Pose and even Rusty Cage, and then all of a sudden, boom, Black Hole Sun. I'm like, for me, it was Metallica's Black Album all over again.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what?
Man,
actual
what
fuck?
in the hell? What happened?
Yeah. Well, see, with Metallica, was every track. I'm like, Lars is going to double it up, Scott. He's going to double it up in this song. He's going to. Nope, he never doubled the beat.
Well, Cliff died, man.
Yeah.
Metallica died with Cliff.
Yep.
It just did.
Yeah,
I remember when he died. I cried.
Album, and actually that album, that was very much like their Black Album, where it propelled them, as much as Bad Motorfinger brought them up out of the Loud Love and Christ, prior to that, just different lineup in every EPs and, just trying to get a toehold. They got that toehold with Bad Motorfinger. They excelled, which I thought sold out with Super Unknown. And then, there was a handful of songs I liked later, but I still don't.
Well, I mean, the band fell off the map after that. I mean, once you do that, same thing happened to Metallica after the Black Album. What did they put out? Nothing.
Right.
No,
in all fairness, they did tour that album for 3+ years. Like,
they did.
Heavily toured that album. And again, ride that wave because they could have retired after the Black Album.
Well, meanwhile, Dave Mustaine is putting out some of the best records of his career. I love Megadeth. I always have. Well, Dave's a redhead too, and kind of off the hook like I used to be, and I just kind of identify with the guy,
Sure.
So, but they got to the point where they, sold out too, when with the Cryptic Writings record.
I see a few people mentioning Big Wreck. Yeah, see, I knew about Big Wreck in the 90s because they got played the hell of because they're only being Canadian. They're basically adopted as a Canadian band, so they were in heavy rotation.
See, now that's a band that I'm not familiar with. But I was really into new wave of British heavy metal and Canadian bands too. That's why I knew about Annihilator and stuff like that. I was really into Raven. I saw one of the first shows that I ever saw. I won tickets on KISW to see Anthrax and Raven.
Nice.
And that was Fistful of Metal days. with their original singer.
Early days. Yeah. So they're in the game.
Yeah, at a club in Seattle, and I was like 12, and I had to like, man, I won these tickets on KSW, man. I really love raving, man. You guys have got to let me in. You know, they're like, the guy at the door like brought me in and shoved me just on the other side of the door next to where the guy that would check people's stamps was. Right. Said, watch him, and they let me in there to see that, and that was a fun night.
I bet.
Yeah, Scott Ian is like one of my top 5 guitar players. I love that guy. Yeah, he's just the rhythm
great guy
master.
too.
Yeah, oh, he's super cool. I really want to meet the guy. Oh man, we're getting almost 3 hours, dude.
Yeah, I was thinking we should probably wrap things. We still got 44 people watching somehow, some way, which is awesome that a lot of people made it in here. Yeah, I was thinking I heard some rumbling going on upstairs, so somebody's awake. Perfect.
Yeah, I figured. Well, your StreamYard will cut off here pretty soon.
Oh no, I have a somewhat paid for version. So
oh, cool.
Yeah, that's why I don't have the duck anymore, but I still have their logo. It basically was half price. Why not?
I mean, I'm not in any hurry if you want to keep talking. So
somebody
was mentioning Cheap Trick blowing Aerosmith off the stage. I can believe that.
Well, yeah, I get that. I've seen some very pitiful performances by Aerosmith back in the day.
Yeah, man. Oh, I had a club just up the street from my shop back in Everett. There was a club there called Jimmy Z's, and they had major acts come in there after they were big acts. So Yngwie Malmsteen and Sepultura and Quiet Riot, and Aerosmith never played there, but some other band was there, and the singer was there.
Okay.
And he was the biggest that I have ever met in my life besides Yngwie. You know, just so arrogant. And I can tell you the coolest person I ever met in that place was Lemmy. Lemmy would talk to anybody. He would sit down and talk to you. And he was the nicest person. And like I told you before, I had a few people come into the shop too. Like Quiet Riot came into my shop. Rudy Sarzo is an angel. He is the nicest, most soft-spoken, gentle, uplifting person I've ever had the pleasure of.
Such a positive person.
He is amazing, and I was amazed that he was there with Quiet Riot, and he took the time to talk to me about Randy Rhoads for a few minutes. You know, because I told him, you know, Randy Rhoads is my hero. You know, what was it like to play with him? You know, and he was such a gentleman. Nice. You know, I just like, wow, it blows my mind that these people were in Ozzy's band, you know.
That was I will say about speaking of Canadian metal, the guys in Anvil.
Yeah, Anvil, those guys are really nice guys too.
And they could be bitter. If anybody has a right to be bitter, they
have a right.
If they want to be. But I remember we were opening for Anvil one night, and our young drummer, I know I've told the story a few times, folks, but young drummer, he wanted to meet Anvil. I'm like, dude, they're sitting at the table right next to us. He goes, well, can we go? I'm like, well, let's let Lips wake up. I'm assuming Lips drove because he had his head down on the table. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, they did stink out the entire bar. Weed was not legal at the time. They gassed out an entire bar. That was impressive. Because we showed up early for load-in. And then, once Lips got walked over, and, they were great. They had a different bass player at that time than they have currently. It's just a few years ago. But that's the thing. It's essentially Lips and Rob, and the bass player doesn't really matter. Well,
with them, the record company screwed them over.
That, and listen to the tone. Oh, speaking of terrible guitar tone. Oh, dear. Yeah. Like, it sounds like, did you play a Boss DS1 into a Rage? Really? Because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, it was the 80s.
Yeah.
Sometimes people
that was the thing. That, not quite good enough production, management, labels, and they were on the cusp, but never quite made it for whatever reason.
Well, that was the same thing with Raven. I don't understand why they didn't make it. They sounded great.
Well,
They had a
half is
killer stage show.
We as the public got led down. You open up Circus and Hit Parader, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like everybody's playing to 1 million people a night. What you don't realize is 3 of the 4 bands you read about, first of all, they're all on the same tour. So they're all playing in front of the same crowd. So really, you're only looking at one band's crowd.
Yeah.
And they shoot the photos at the largest, like they'll play one arena, a bunch of clubs, another arena, a bunch, type thing. What you don't see is those in-between shows where they're just basically making
where they're not. They play a hockey rink and then they play, a 500-person club or something.
Exactly. And a lot of guys got screwed over. A lot of guys pissed the money away, whether up their nose or whatever,
Or well, they didn't know.
But it's so much smoke and mirrors, especially Canadian bands, because you think 1/10 the population, 1/10 the infrastructure. So, the big thing is you got to make it in the U.S. Like if you're going to make it, you got to break big in the U.S. as well. And the same goes for British bands. They'll all tell you the same thing. We didn't make it till we broke in the U.S.
Yeah, they didn't make it till they got over here.
Consumer market.
Well, one of the things that I think a lot of the bands back then didn't realize is man, you need merchandise. That's how you make your money, is selling merch at shows.
Yeah.
You don't make money from the record company. They take money from you.
Yeah.
It's a business.
Exactly.
That was one of the things that I knew, but I didn't.
Well, that's
wasn't in a good enough band.
Too, because I don't know what bands broke big and what ones didn't, south of the border. So that's when I wonder why I'm like, oh, well, I look at the singer of April Wine, for instance. Okay. And he's got a fleet of beautiful classic cars. He lives the rock star life. He's got a bunch of nice guitars. He's got a bunch of nice cars. Got a couple of houses. He seems to be living the life of an old rock star guy. And then you got like the Anvil guys that are working day jobs. And there's a lot of guys that are working day jobs.
Yeah.
And I did find out, though, the difference is if you have a number one hit or not. The difference of a number one hit over the course of 10 years, 20 years, it's 100-to-1 return.
Yeah, especially if you retain your publishing.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of those guys made that mistake too. They sold off their publishing.
Yeah.
And it's like, great musicians, terrible businessmen.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why you never trust the suits.
Oh, never. That's how 4th Century got screwed,
Yeah. And that's the thing. But sometimes you to take that chance that, okay, we're going to get screwed in the first 3 records even. But if you think long term, maybe then it's like pro sports. Screwed on your entry level contract, but you hope you play well for 3 years. So your next contract, the owner's got to pay through the nose to retain you. Unfortunately, most bands don't make it past the 3rd album.
These days, you don't make it past the 2nd if you don't sell.
You don't make it past the 1st.
Yeah, if you don't have a number 1 hit on the first record, they drop you like a hot sack of stuff.
Yeah, like you really have to impress. And even now, like they want, with the modern deals, the labels want a piece of everything.
Yeah,
publishing, sales, merch, ticket sales, anything to recoup. And yet they don't front the $500,000 to record an album. Here's $500,000 in the 80s. Fast forward 40 years. Here's $50,000, but we want more of the piece on the back end.
Right. Well, these days, all they can do for you really is pushing your product, distribution and advertising. That's the only thing that they have anymore.
Yeah.
They don't, because.
Yeah. And if you're at the point where you're dealing with a label that's looking at that kind of distribution, you should already have management in place that already has the contacts to get you onto the talk shows, to do that kind of promotion anyways.
And get you on Spotify.
Yeah.
And make your 1 cent per 1,000 listens,
Exactly.
Yep. All right, man. I'm getting super hungry.
I could eat for some reason. I don't know. I have an effect on these shows. I get a little hungry by the end of them.
I've got chili on my brain right now. It's like, man, I really want to go make some chili.
I may have to do chili tomorrow night. I'll have to think about that. So there we are. Well, thank you very much, Scott. We'll definitely have to do this again at some point.
You betcha.
I think honestly we could shoot the shit for hours.
Dude, we can. When I first got in contact with you, I was like, man, I could just go hang out with you for days.
Yep.
and talk about stuff. I'm like,
Exactly. Whether you're hanging out here, I'm hanging out there, because it would be one of the others. Oh, what you got here? Can we plug this in? And you're like, yeah, sure, plug it in.
hey, what you want to go smoke one, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, you want to go down to the bar, eh? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Done.
I can see that.
Let's go hang out at a pawn shop. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, hey, let's go on pedal safari. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, we're too cheap for Guitar Safari, but we can play Pedal Safari.
Yeah, I go on pedal safari. I don't have enough money to go on Guitar Safari, so I go on pedal safari.
All the time. Well, yeah, definitely. We'll do another one of these, Scott. That's a given. I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. It's been an awesome time. If you haven't already, please give the show a thumbs up. See a few people dipping in at the end here that been lurking while working and stuff. Mark Dillon, Dale Palmer. I saw a bunch of people jump in over the last while, but I didn't want to interrupt the conversation too much. So I'll be back tomorrow night with Canucks with Guitars, like with Terry co-hosting, because we haven't seen Tom. So Terry, you're cool with that? Perfect. Thanks. See, just like that. Thanks again. If you haven't already subscribed to Scott's channel, check it out. Terry just put it in the chat there. I gotta shoot. Oh, I do have a video already done for Wednesday. I just have to thumbnail it and stuff. What's that one about? I don't remember. You'll find out when I find out. I'll shoot a demo or two this week as well. And yeah, back tomorrow with Canucks with Guitars, and then we'll talk more. Hey, Mike, good to see you. Cheers, rock on, hold those doors open, let that guy ahead of you in traffic, do good things, and good things will happen to you, because why? Karma is real. There we are. There was no need for that.
Doug's wife is real.
Doug's wife is real. Cheers, folks.